Welcome. Glad to have you. The Bill Michaels Show is on the air. Happy you're with us. Thanks for taking a listen to us. We certainly appreciate it. A lot of stuff to get to today, and we're going to deal with some Brewers stuff. I want to get some thoughts on this. The Brewers, yesterday in St. Louis, they get the win, and they do it via their formula, okay? They get a couple of clutch hits. They get some really good pitching beginning to end, and they walk away with a victory. The Cubs get a win. The Reds, 8.5 back. So yada, yada, yada. Here's my question. And I was doing Dave Carney's show this morning in La Crosse. Here's the question. Christian Yelich last night, he goes 2 for 5, I believe. I believe what the final box score was, 2 for 5. But I watched I was driving home last night, and I got a chance to see a couple of his at-bats early on when we were still at Cedar Creek Golf Course last night in La Crosse. And then driving home last night, I'm listening. So I was watching his first at-bat. 1, 2, 3, strikes, you're out. Sit down. And that was a little bit disconcerting. And then he ended up with a couple of knocks last night. So my question is this, but Yelich, he was 2 for 5 with a run scored, but he had 3 strikeouts. So is Christian Yelich getting better, as they wanted to allude to and kind of paint the blue and amber wheat sunshine into your brain last night listening to the broadcast coming home? So is he getting better, or watching 3 straight pitches go and then striking out 3 times? And I hate to say hit or miss, but that's basically what it was. His average now stands at 239 with a 740 OPS, but the power numbers, we all know, are way down. So is Christian Yelich, did he get better? Or is he concerning? Now, over the last 7 games, you can certainly say 9 for 29, 5 runs scored, 7 strikeouts, a couple of walks, 3 RBIs, hitting .310. Okay, maybe. But over the last 15 games, 12 of 54, 7 runs scored, 4 RBIs, 4 walks, 17 strikeouts, but he's only hitting .222 with an on-base percentage of .276. In the last 30 games, the larger sample size, he's 23 for 106, 17 runs scored, 1 home run over the last 30 games, 8 RBI, 14 walks, 33 strikeouts, 1 stolen base, but a batting average of .217 and an on-base percentage of .320. So is he getting better, or is he getting worse? Or is it just now to the point where your alarm bells are starting to go off? 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Good morning, Angela. Over on the Bud Light live stream. If you want to get a hold of the program, that's the phone number, 877-867-1670. You can also find us over on Twitter, @Bill_Michaels, @Bill_Michaels. Find us on the Facebook fan page. Go to facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. You can hit us up on YouTube. Subscribe for free over on YouTube, and it continues to grow. I love it. I love the fact that people are actually paying attention to it via YouTube. And I had a couple of gentlemen come up to me last night and say that's how they get the show. They turn on YouTube, and lo and behold, we're there every day, and sure enough, that's the way they pay attention to it. But thanks to everybody for subscribing for free, by the way, for free over on YouTube. So is Yelich getting better or worse? And last night I found myself really excited. Chris Yelich, couple of knocks. All right, way to go. Average is climbing. Great. And then I thought about it, and I thought, well, you don't see many guys that were MVPs that are considered power hitters being challenged with 3 straight pitches to start the game. Left 7 men on base last night, by the way. The largest number of any Brewer. But 3 straight pitches. Done. Sit down. Is Christian Yelich a shell of himself? If you just look at the numbers, the sheer numbers he has this year, he's still sitting on 6 home runs, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. Now, he does have a good on-base percentage. I'll give you that. 375 on-base percentage, 86 strikeouts. So the strikeouts, while they're not into the hundreds, they're still approaching 90. But he has a good eye at the plate. So I don't know what to make of it. I just don't. His OPS is 740, which is, by the way, the lowest of his career. The lowest of his career. Last year, you thought he had a bad season at 786. And then 2019, 2018. But it was funny because I'm listening to some local sports talk show today. And they had to go back to, now remember, he had 44 home runs, but you're starting to go, you know what? Go back to 2018 when he was so clutch going to the postseason. Go back to 2019 when he's hitting the ball, and then all of a sudden he goes down with a knee injury. Okay. You got to go back two and a half years now. You got to go back 3 years now. If you that's a pretty large litmus test. He is sitting at 455 at bats over the last 2 years. 455 at bats. So this isn't like he's only going through a little bit of a slump. This is like an entire season. Now, guys have had a season. It still doesn't approach what he hit in 2018 when he batted 574 times. He ended up hitting 326 that year, remember? Or even last year where he had 400, or 2 years ago when he had 489 at bats before he went down with the injury. So you can just look at it as it's a blip on the radar. He had a bad, quote, season. And he's got to go away. He's got to reset. But I don't know. I felt like last night listening to the ballgame driving home, I was being force-fed sunshine up my butt about Christian Yelich. And I thought, I don't know. I don't think I can buy into that. Not this season. Oh, he's starting to come out of it. No, he's not. No, he's not. Not if you look at his game splits. Over the last 7, okay. The last week, all right. Christian Yelich might start. If he starts coming out of this, who knows? Who knows? But if you take over the last 2 weeks, no, not even close. And over the last 30 games, it's terrible. So in recent history, yeah, he's climbing a little bit. But I look at Christian Yelich and I think, a couple of hits here or there, I can't buy that. That will get you out of a slump. Sometimes, what was the old thing in the saying in Bull Durham? When Kevin Costner's talking about, a dying quail, a seeing eye ground ball. And sometimes you need that. That can start to get you off the schneid. Okay. And if he would have went 2 for 5 last night with 1 strikeout and the other 2 times up, he hit the ball pretty hard, I would think to myself, you know what? He's starting to rip. He's starting to rope a little bit. But last night, I don't know. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Find us. We would love to hear from you. Again, 877-867-1670. You can also find us over on the web at thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Shoot us an email, thebillmichaels@gmail.com, or just thebillmichaels.com, and you can find the website. Always appreciate that as well. James says, Christian Yelich has not been the same since the knee injury. We all know it. Let's call a pig a pig. I don't want to call him a pig, but you're right, and it is concerning. I would 100% agree with you. It is concerning. Ben Kenny producing the program today. We'll talk with Mike Clemens coming up a little bit later on. Ben, do you think Christian Yelich is starting to come out of it, or did last night, was it just kind of the microcosm of Christian Yelich? Ben must be answering the phones. We'll go with that. 877-867-1670. Let's go to our buddy Mike listening to us in Whitewater. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Billy. You're traveling all over again.
Yes, I'm out and about. I love it.
Hey, Christian Yelich. Yeah, he had 2, a double and a single or something? But he took those third strikes looking at him with runners in scoring position. He's done. Why do they keep playing him?
I think just because you have to, you're paying him a lot of money. He still has a name in which he can be a threat, but I think they're just hoping he begins to mash his way out of it.
But the thing is, like you said, though, the last 2.5 years since he had that MVP year, he hasn't done anything since he had that knee injury, and he's not producing when you need him to with the runners in scoring position.
Yeah, I agree, and that's the biggest thing about him is he was always that clutch guy, and he just hasn't been consistently or even at all hardly this year.
And they put him in the second spot or third spot. Again, probably because they're paying him so much and his name, like you said.
Yep. Yeah, and here's the thing is because the question is, well, if he doesn't hit at the remainder of the season, can you move him next year? Or if say 200 bats next year, he performs this poorly, can you move him? What team's going to want? I mean, they may take a flyer on him, but I don't think with the power numbers being down, people are going to look at him and go, oh, yeah, we want to go ahead and take on that salary. They're not going to want to do that either, even though it was a good deal for the Brewers.
Well, how long was the contract? Did he sign a Brian Braun, who, after he signed it, took a dump?
Yeah, it's a long contract. I can't remember the total number of years. I'm going to have to look, but it's a long contract. It was like 7 or 8 years or something like that total that he was going to get by the time it was all said and done.
7 year.
7 years, yeah. Yeah, Christian Yelich is going to be here a long time. And the best part about it, you're not paying him this year to be like this huge, manufacturer. You're only paying him $14 million this year, but he goes until 2029. In 2030, he becomes a free agent in 2030. So next year is when the money starts to escalate because he gets pretty much $22 million for the remainder of his career. He's a 20. If he gives you the numbers he gave you a couple of years ago, then $22 million next year and the years after will be a drop in the bucket. It won't be any big deal. But if he continues to play this way, who's going to want to pay him $22 million to be a 230 hitter and only give you 6 home runs?
Yeah, and then where do you put him in the lineup?
Right. And that's the other thing. They have kept him in that 3-hole pretty much for the most part. They haven't moved him. It's not like they do it because he's Christian Yelich. He's had performance and he's had a track record. So, I mean, I understand why you do it, but man, this guy is continually struggling right now. And again, last night, a couple of hits, and people look at that and think maybe he's coming out of it. And I hope he is. But I also look at the strikeouts last night. I think, how can you do that?
I was watching on TV, and just like you said, they were sugarcoating the base hits, but they didn't say too much of him taking those third strikes. And that's what it seems. He's letting the good pitches go, and then he'll swing out of the strike zone or something like that. And he strikes out.
Yeah. Yep, completely agree, man. Appreciate it, pal.
Are you up in Green Bay? You up in Green Bay Saturday?
I won't be in Green Bay Saturday. I will be in Green Bay on Monday.
All right. I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right, buddy.
Be safe.
Talk to you soon. There you go. That is our buddy Mike listening to us in Whitewater. James said, Christian Yelich, it was a called strike. Called strike. Right, he watched pass him in the first inning, and I thought, Christian, what the hell are you doing? And the one he got called out on the third strike, that was a fastball. That was a four-seam fastball right down the gullet. Right down the gullet. 877-867-1670. So the question is this. Christian Yelich last night, couple of knocks. Positive, right? Positive. Also last night, you then had a couple of 3 strikeouts, and you're kind of like, okay, what the hell? His second at bat, he doubled, and out to the right field area, which is good because that's him pulling a baseball. That's what you want. Then his next at bat, he ends up striking out again. And you're thinking, okay, what's wrong with Christian Yelich? Doesn't happen. He just doesn't look right. Christian Yelich singled in the 7th, and that was a solid line drive, and then a strikeout. And strikeout, I mean, he struck out swinging. because he had the swinging strike on the slider, swinging strike on the splitter, fouled one off. There was a couple of balls he took. One was in the dirt. And then looking at my notes, the last one, breaking ball, but it was a 98-mile-an-hour breaking ball. Fanned on it. Fanned and went away. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
For your next corporate event, you can own the mountain at Pine Mountain Ski and Golf Resort. 2 nights accommodations, welcome reception, meals, live entertainment, banquet facilities, on-site event coordinator, and play 18 holes at Timberstone Championship Golf Course, starting at $309 per person based on double occupancy. Really, what more could you want for your next corporate outing? Call Barb at Pine Mountain Ski and Golf Resort in Iron Mountain, Michigan. Own the mountain. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Depending on what side of the fence you fall on. Like Brentley says, hey, if Yelich goes 2 for 5 every night and then strikes out 3 times, I'm good with that. Can't everyone see that he's starting to come out of this a little bit? Last time I checked, 2 for 5 is batting 400. Brentley, I just went through the statistics. I just gave it to you. That is the ultimate sunshine up your ass statement there is. Christian Yelich over the last 15 games is batting .222. Over the last 30 games is .217. Don't take one game and act like, oh, that's it. I hope he's coming out of it as well. But don't give me that. He's got 400 at-bats in the last year and a half, and he's batting .217. So there's your hard fact. Yes, you are 100% correct technically. Gary says everybody strikes out a lot. Right. He doesn't do it a lot. That's why it was a question. Gary, it was a question. Going 2 for 5 last night, but 3 strikeouts. 1 looking at the first 3 pitches, and then the other 2 swinging and just looking off. Was it a good night or a bad night? Like I said, had he hit the ball hard and went 2 for 5 and say 1 strikeout and then, a couple lineouts or whatever, that's one thing. But he didn't. That's the fact. He didn't. 877-867-1670. Our buddy Tom's on the elliptical, sweating, listening. Tom, you the man. Give us a shout. Let's get to our buddy Daniel in Toma. Daniel, what's going on, man?
Hey, my question to you is: would you rather have him hitting good at the end of the season or at the beginning of the season? And I know he's been in a slump, but I feel like if he came out at the end, it'd be the best time to peak.
Oh, absolutely.
Last year we went to playoffs. I thought we peaked early or in the middle, but we were really slumping at the end.
Oh, I completely agree. Look, if this is the beginning of him coming out of it, I'm all for it. I'm no problem. All I'm asking the question is, Christian Yelich, so was last night a good night or a bad night? Because he looked bad at the plate on 3 at-bats, and 2 of the at-bats he got a double and he got a base hit.
I fell asleep because I got to work at 1 o'clock, but I saw the first time when he got on base, and that's only that I could judge. So that seemed like a pretty good hit that he hit.
Right.
And that, so, I'm not saying that. That's all I'm saying. If he comes out of it, which we cannot predict the future, I'd rather him peak at the end and save all of his energy. And they do pitch better at him than probably some people because he's known to hit the ball hard. And they probably put a little bit of a little extra on the ball pitching to him. Do you agree or disagree?
No, I agree. I would love if Christian Yelich, put it this way, and thanks for the phone call, Daniel. If Christian Yelich starts hitting the ball the way Christian Yelich can, there is no reason why this team can't be ignited to the point that they end up in a World Series. Period. I mean, I then think they become a favorite to win it all. That's how good I think this team could be. But I think at this point in time, if he doesn't continue to hit and he's not giving you power numbers, I think you got to move him down in the lineup. Ben, do you agree? Would you move him down in the lineup?
Yeah, I would. We were talking on Over the Line the other day about whether you just bench him or try to get him out. I don't think you can do that because he still is getting on base, but you have to drop him to 7 or 8. Because his strikeout percentage is too high. The power's not there. He's getting on base, and that's really it. So you hope that dropping him to 7 maybe gets him out of the funk and he finally starts hitting.
See, I think it's looked at, correct me if I'm wrong, but do you think it's looked upon as bad? As, oh, we can't do that to a former MVP. We can't drop him. It would be showing a lack of faith in him. I think they're playing the game of this would look bad if they dropped Christian Yelich down. It would hurt his feelings. It could ruin him. Do you agree with that?
I mean, if this was a losing team, then yes, but this is a team that's 26 games over 500. So I feel like if you do that and you keep winning, there's no way it could be looked at as bad. Because his numbers warrant it.
Absolutely his numbers warrant it. But I think that's the way they look at it. They don't want to. It's kind of like you don't bench your starter if you're in a losing streak, but Aaron Rodgers is playing really good. You don't suddenly give more time to Jordan Love if Aaron Rodgers is playing really good, but the team's not winning, or even if the team's winning and he's not throwing the ball really well, that you start putting Jordan Love in, because that would be a bad move. I think it's looked at the same. I think they look at it as we can't drop him down in the lineup because for no other reason than he's Christian Yelich. That's it. That's the only reason I would think they're not moving him down. 877-867-1670. Maybe that's not the best example, but nevertheless, I think that's the only reason they're not moving him, in my opinion. 877-867-1670. Kinger says feelings. There's no feelings in baseball. I would agree with that. There's not supposed to be. Not supposed to be anyway. Also, it's been brought up by numerous people that Christian Yelich, he was one of the guys that was believed to be stealing signs, which made it easier for him to hit the baseball. I don't know. Nobody, put it this way. For those that are saying it, has that ever been proven? Has that ever been proven? That there was, because the Houston Astros, that was proven. It became somewhat known. It became to where people, and in today's day and age with social media being what it is, somebody would have figured it out. Somebody would have put a pattern together and said, okay, every time they're banging on a garbage can, every time whatever happens behind the plate, every time somebody moves or does something, they, whatever. A player leads off second and takes 2 steps rather than 1. I mean, whatever it happens to be. There's that. Nobody's ever figured out a pattern to say Christian Yelich was stealing signs. Not that I'm aware of. Let's go to the phone calls. Let's go back to Mark listening to us in Madison. Mark, how you doing today, man? What's up?
Hey, good, Bill. How you doing?
I'm doing great. What's on your mind?
Good. First of all, I played a sport, football, where I would miss guys 3 feet in front of me, so it's tough to hit a baseball, as you know. Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking, how the way they moved Castanier around, they moved him back down the lineup, they moved him all over the place. You need maybe a 6, 7, 8, put him in the 6, 7, or 8, so then you can regenerate this offense at times, because there is times where it goes dormant, as you know. Yesterday had a bunch of hits, but didn't get all the run producing they could have used. But if somehow Yelich can bring himself back with 6, 7, 8, maybe put a jolt to the lineup, that might help a little bit.
I could understand that, and that's what we both agree on. I think if he could get back in the lineup, see different pitches, be in a different circumstance and or setting, that maybe there's a way to excel there. I mean, I don't know. At this point, look, if he's starting to come out, if he's not, then what do you do?
Can I make one more point?
Sure.
And hope I didn't interrupt you there. What's looking at him is like, and I'm not trying to be a coach and all that stuff, but if you had a younger kid batting like that, you say, get over here and get a lighter bat or something, It's almost like the way the balls were not charged as good. Some of these guys, maybe they're swinging a bigger bat or something, or heavier bat, because a lot of them are ending up on the, right at the wall. Use a lighter bat, make some contact, and then things will come,
Yeah, absolutely. I think at this point, if you're slumping, you do anything and everything you can to get yourself out of the slump. I think going through routine, and I understand all of that. I think there's a mentality to it too. I think also it's more between his ears than anything. I appreciate the phone call. Yesterday, we had a couple of different people that are with the Brewers, and they just said the same thing. It's in his head a little bit, because they think technically he's still as sound gets. They just think it's in his head, that there's a lot of guessing. You start to get tense. Maybe you grip the bat a little bit too tight. You tense up to the point where you got that hitch and you're giddy up for just a half second or a split second too late. That's all it is, that he just needs to get comfortable and start hitting again, which is easier said than done, obviously, when you're trying to hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball or a 94-mile-an-hour slider or cutter or breaking ball, but you get what I'm saying. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. So give me the stats on Christian Yelich there, Ben.
So I think the point you just made could be seen as true when you look at this. So his line drive percentage is very similar to all of the years in his career where he really excelled, including that MVP season. His ground ball percentage is similar as well. So when he does make contact, you're seeing some of the same outcomes. It's just the strikeout rate that has shot up. And that's screwing him. And that's when you maybe think that this could be mental, that he's just not on pitches that he normally is.
Correct. I agree. I look at Christian Yelich and just think there's sometimes when he leaves the plate after striking out, much like last night, I think sometimes he just looks at it as he either didn't get it, he's a little bit baffled, or when, like last night when he swung through that breaking ball late in the ball game, he went back to the bench and was looking as if, what the hell just happened? Like he just thought he hit the baseball, and it never came to fruition. Let's do this. Matt LaFleur was just at the podium just before they're getting ready to get their practices underway. So we're going to hear from Matt. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. We're going to hear Matt LaFleur coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Thank you for calling Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. How may I help you?
Gina Della from Pella. You were answering the phones?
Absolutely. Now with the choice of 5 years, no interest, and 5 months, no first payment, or 10-year 2.99 APR financing, everyone on Team Pella Wisconsin is digging deep to make Wisconsin proud.
Bring home the gold, right?
Already have. According to a 2020 survey for leading national brands, Pella windows are rated #1 for highest value, highest quality, and most preferred by Green Bay and Milwaukee homeowners.
Talk about being at the top of the podium, but what's a head coach like you doing on the field?
Hey, on my team, everybody's suiting up to make sure no one's left out in the cold.
Well, it is still summer, you know.
And frosty fall air will be here before you know it. Set your free consultation today at PellaWI.com/radio or call 855-PELLA-WI.
Certain restrictions apply. See show for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Continue on the Bill Michaels Show, and we're going to continue on talking to Christian Yelich baseball, Brewers baseball. Just a lot of reaction to all of this, and we're not knocking Yelich. I just said, was last night a good night or a bad night? That was the question. How can you knock him? He's on a 7-game hit streak. Well, that's fine. That's great. He's on a 7-game hit streak. And in those 7 games, he's 9 for 29, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks, hitting .310. On base percentage of .355, slugging percentage of .414, no home runs. Go back a week prior to that, he's hitting .222, 17 strikeouts, 4 walks. The last 30 games, .217, 33 strikeouts, 14 walks, and only 1 home run. I mean, those are the real facts. I mean, if you want to throw up the hitting streak, I hope he's busting out of it, because it changes the complete dynamic, I think, of this team if Christian Yelich begins to pop. But I'm driving, like I said, I'm driving back last night, and I'm listening to the game, and I'm getting this boatload of Christian Yelich sunshine, which is great. Don't get me wrong. It's what, broadcasters are paid to do that work for the teams. It's great, but I look at it as a whole. I'm looking at it as a realist. And just saying to myself, okay, is he really busting out of it? He's 2 for 5. Yeah, that's pretty solid. But with 3 strikeouts flailing, and one of them where he just watched 3 straight pitches go down the middle, I don't know. I guess my point is, I don't know that you can force feed me sunshine to say everything is great, because everything's not great. Going back into the studio with Ben Kenny. So you got a stat that concerns you, Ben. What would that be?
So I talked about the strikeout rate, but when you look throughout his career, and this is extremely concerning, he has the lowest exit velocity of any year he's played, which means he's hitting the ball softer, pretty much. Right. And his average exit velocity is down pretty much at the major league average. And even last year, when he hit 200 and struck out 30% of the time, he had the highest exit velocity of his career. So he was still hitting the ball hard. He just wasn't making as much contact. Right. But now some of that contact has gotten a lot softer.
So, which you're right, is another area of concerning stat. Why is he not getting the power that he once had? Because obviously the power numbers are way down from what we're used to.
I mean, you could look at the injuries. But still, you would expect him to eventually go back to an average throughout his career.
Right.
Maybe not the peak, but
right. Yeah, he's. I said this last year. I mean, he just didn't look right, and even though he hit the ball hard, he wasn't hitting that big power number. And then obviously the season did not end up the way he had hoped. And then this year, he just looks. I mean, I don't want to say like a shell of himself. It's not like he's some frail human being. He doesn't look right. He just looks like he's all arms and not body. I don't know. Maybe there is something to this. He broke the kneecap and he got into a bad habit. He's not driving the ball with his legs. I don't know. Not getting the hips through the strike zone. Everything's not in sync, whatever it happens to be. So sometimes when you're just trying to put the bat on the ball, you're just swinging with arms. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's the reason for the exit velocity being so far down. I don't know. But he just doesn't look right. So, yes, I'm glad that he's barreling up the ball and he's got a 7-game hit streak and he doubled last night. And absolutely. But I'm also looking at him flailing at a couple of pitches and 2 other strikeouts and right down the middle. And I think that's more of a I guess more of a ghostly statistic when you look at his first at bat last night, because he's been pretty good when it comes to taking pitches. He's got the highest walk rate on the Brewers. So I'm not going to completely say, man, you don't see somebody like that do that. But, every now and then it happens. But that last fastball was right down Broadway, and he just took it. 877-867-1670. ESPN Steve says his velocity will go up when his batting improves. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you're just trying to barrel up the baseball. Sometimes you're just trying to put the bat on the ball. And that will take away from your exit velocity. But I agree with you that's one of those concerning stats. If he's not hitting the ball hard, that can be concerning. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Our buddy Steve says, "Good day, Bill. I was interested to see Christian Yelich swing from 2019 compared to 2021. He's not extending the front leg like he did in 2019, thus not getting the extension of the power he seems to have lost. I'm not a hitting coach by any means, but I wonder if this could be something to do with it and related to the broken kneecap. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. I'm sure there's some, and this is where that whole analyzing lab that they have out in Arizona comes into play. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of different looks at his at-bats video-wise, and they're going to say, okay, this is what we're not doing. This is what we're not getting you to do, and that's going to be what needs to be done. So I don't know if it's something to where he's protecting the knee. I don't know if it's something to the point where he's started out in pain because of it and developed a bad habit. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. But I looked at last night and I thought to myself, this is really great. And then I thought, I don't know if it is really great. 2 base hits, yep. 3 strikeouts, nope. And leaving 7 runners on, I don't know. I don't necessarily get that a great night. But I do hope offensively it continues to shine. We're going to step away. One more break before the top of the hour. Coming up after the top of the hour, Mark Daniels, our guy from WNFL in Green Bay. He's going to be joining us. We'll get the latest on training camp. That's in camp at it. And Matt LaFleur coming up in the next hour as well. Stay tuned. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show is next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Quick Trip is teaming up with your local Chevy dealers to award a new Silverado Trail Boss to one lucky Packers fan in the opening drive sweepstakes. Chevrolet sells more vehicles in Wisconsin than any other brand. To enter, stop by your local Quick Trip. Purchase any Pothole Frozen Pizza, the official frozen pizza of Lambeau Field, with your rewards card, and you're entered. If selected, you'll win cash, plus entry into the year-end drawing to win a brand new Silverado Trail Boss. No purchase necessary. Chevrolet and Quick Trip, proud partners of Packers football.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, a training camp update. In Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers and New York Jets joint practice sessions are underway. It's a family affair for Packers head coach Matt LaFleur. His younger brother Mike is the Jets' new offensive coordinator.
We got our whole families coming in town. So my parents, my sister-in-law and her kids, they'll all be staying at the house, and we'll get some opportunities to hang out in the evening. I think we're going to try to do something with the Jets staff one of the nights and just enjoy some good camaraderie.
Jets head coach Robert Saleh has been friends with Matt LaFleur for nearly 20 years. When both were graduate assistants at Central Michigan, LaFleur was the best man at Saleh's wedding. Now both are NFL head coaches.
I think it's cool. Obviously, Matt and the entire LaFleur family are very, very close. And when we're sitting there as GAs at Central Michigan, I don't think we ever thought that this would happen, but it's pretty cool that it did. So.
And the Packers made a trade sending former second-round pick Josh Jackson to the New York Giants in exchange for another defensive back, Isaac Yiadom. And the team reduced the roster to 85 by placing 2 players on IR, including wide receiver DeAndre Tompkins, who injured his shoulder against the Texans, and releasing 3 others. Packers GM Brian Gutekunst.
It's not just about finding the right 53 or 69 players or however you want to cut it up, but it's finding the right guys to make up the best team, not just the best players. So that's what we're after, and it's a challenge, but I do like the guys in that locker room right now that are competing for those spots.
That's Brian Gutekunst from the Packers training camp in Green Bay. I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show. We're continuing on. Coming up after the top of the hour, we're going to talk some Packers football. And let's do this real quick. Let's go to Green Bay. Mike Clemens standing by as the Packers getting underway against the New York Jets in some practices leading up to the game coming up this Saturday. Michael, what's going on up there?
It's a busy day, and because you got a whole nother football team here, just kind of logistics is tough for fans that were pulling up like, well, where am I supposed to park? Because they got half of the parking lot shut down for the Jets. The Jets actually walked out of the visitors' locker room loading dock and then across the parking lot, across Oneida, and they're still on the Clark Hinkle field, the one that's closest to the stadium, going through their warm-ups right now. The Packers were on the Ray Nitschke field that has the fans in the stands there. And then after the Jets do their warm-up, they'll cross over through the Hudson, go in, and then we'll have some practices. We're going to have a lot of team and move the ball, and, it'll look like a scrimmage with a lot of rules. You got Robert Saleh and Matt LaFleur, these best friends. I mean, Matt was Robert's best man at his wedding, going over the plans last night, exchanging the lists of the, down and distance situations that they want to run on offense, the personnel groupings they're going to use, so the coordinators can, kind of figure out what the matchups will be and make it a good competition today.
So what are we looking for specifically out of these practices? I mean, other than the fact that these guys finally get a chance to I don't want to say beat up on one another, but get to hit some guys live in competition, live in practice. Is there an aspect of this that you're paying most close attention to?
Yeah, guys that got shortchanged in the game against the Texans. Guys like Patrick Taylor out of Memphis, who's a big running back. You got to decide on a third running back. And you figure that they're probably leaning toward their 7th-round draft pick from this year, Kylan Hill, 32, who seemed to get the most carries the other night and drop back at kick returner. But maybe you go with a guy that's bigger like A.J. Dillon. Well, Patrick Taylor, he had one play that was pretty good where he busted through, and another play, he kind of hesitated when he got to the line. And LaFleur said, you have to hit that line and anticipate that the hole is going to get the combination block from those, from that guard, and so you can get going. Well, here's the thing, and I said this to LaFleur today. I said, I think a story we're not really focusing on is how many guys have you got this year in camp that are like a Patrick Taylor or a Devin Funchess, who actually had a pretty good game, but they haven't been in a football game in 2 years. I mean, can you imagine, Bill, at Elder High School in Ohio or Beloit Memorial High School? Yeah, I went out for football. I played Pop Warner. I went out for freshman year. And then I skipped my sophomore and junior year and came back, and this is my first game on varsity as a senior. That's a lot of time when you're not actually with helmets and pads and hitting people. And so the good news is when you got a joint practice, you can get some more of those snaps in this situation to evaluate these players.
So, Mike, I know that Matt LaFleur, first of all, when we talk about Jordan Love and such, Matt LaFleur is addressing that. But Jordan Love back, everything good? Because I completely glossed over that.
No, he ain't going to play today. He's not going to. They're going to rest that shoulder that, he got hit by that linebacker from the Texans the other night, a shoulder strain, and he threw a little bit yesterday. He is not going to practice. So Gutekunst brought in another camp arm. He brought back that 4th or 5th kid they had in the mini camps, Jake Delegata, tall kid like 6'7". They passed on the Blake Bortles thing on bringing him back, who was in camp. And you know what? Gutekunst will probably say this. Sometimes these decisions come down to salary cap decisions. Yeah. So rather than bringing the veteran, they brought in the kid. It's just a camp arm. I think it's going to be a 2-man quarterback roster with Rodgers and Jordan Love, and they can probably put this Kurt Benkert away on the practice squad to get the season started.
Real quick, Mike, before I let you go, and I wanted to also ask you about, you talked about the defensive back position a little bit, but you've got obviously a trade that went down yesterday. They're trying to bolster special teams, and a couple of areas that Matt LaFleur had discussed was you got to have guys that can have, your depth issues have to be special teams related. You got to get better in that area. And guys weren't in their lanes. It was all about communication. So is that going to be an emphasis this week going into the Jets game?
It is. They must like some of these younger guys that they're bringing up, and they did draft Eric Stokes. But I think that's really the Josh Jackson story. 2nd-round pick out of Iowa, started 10 games his first year. But then, there's just something about the guy. He was inconsistent. And I even remember, though, Mike Patton saying, you know what, he does some good plays. He's an intimidating figure. He'll hit a guy hard. And then he'll start tugging on receivers and draw a pass interference foul. Or, he'll turn his back and not realize the guy's doing a down, out, and down. He'll lose the guy in coverage and he gets wide open. And he had one more chance to show them something against the Texans. He didn't. And so they just, they sent him off to New York, brought in this Isaac Yiadom, who's got kind of a similar story, drafted, went to another team, the Broncos, now is with the Giants. Now he's a Green Bay Packer. So they basically swapped bodies. But I think that Josh Jackson, Jacko as they call him, I just don't think he was a fit in that secondary room.
Yeah, this was one of those, and I described it yesterday as a guy that they're looking for some depth on the special teams, and they're looking for greener pastures. Two guys that just need to get out of the situation and see if they can't play better somewhere else. And who knows, Yadam is a guy that maybe he comes into this situation knowing he's got a legitimate shot at the Super Bowl and elevates the level of his play.
Right. So, and I think I think the Packers think that they've got some undrafted guys in here to take a look at that they feel far better putting on special teams than your former second-round pick, Josh Jackson, healthy and active. Last December and January, he's went into the playoffs.
Mike, good stuff. We'll talk again soon, okay?
Thank you, Bill. We got Aaron Rodgers coming up for you later today on the show.
Perfect. Good stuff. We'll listen to Aaron Rodgers coming up a little bit later on as well. That's Mike Clemens live in Green Bay. And Mike, always brought to you by the Bay Motel in Green Bay. The Bay Motel, clean, quiet, comfortable, cozy, great for families as well. And the Bay Family Restaurant is just, I heard a lot of people yesterday that said they used to stay in Green Bay all the time, and they would stay at the Bay Motel, and how much they just enjoyed the Bay Family Restaurant. Home cooking, home-style cooking, 7 days a week. The Bay Motel, South Military Avenue in Green Bay. Call them today for reservations, 920-494-3441, 920-494-3441. Go online at baymotelgreenbay.com. That is baymotelgreenbay.com. Mark Daniels, WNFL in Green Bay. We'll talk some more Packers football coming up after the top of the hour, right after this. Now lift. Okay, go ahead.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Notch another one in the win column for the Milwaukee Brewers as they beat the St. Louis Cardinals last night at Busch Stadium 2-0. The Crew could not capitalize on their offense last night. They had 14 hits, 2 walks, and a hit by a pitch, but went 3 for 15 with runners in scoring position. It was the work of starting pitcher Corbin Burns, though, that was the highlight. The righty would go 6 innings, giving up just 2 hits. Those efforts have dropped his ERA to 2.13 in the season, good enough to be the second-best mark in the NL. Here's more from Colton Wong on his teammate Corbin Burns.
Every time he steps on the mound, you kind of have that confidence knowing that it's probably going to be a good day for us. He just kind of has that about him. When he walks in from the bullpen, you can see he's confident. We kind of feed off of it. He's so good. You expect him to dominate every single hitter. And, it's just one of those things you just got to tip your cap to him and the hard work he's put in and just how good he's been as a pitcher.
The Brewers now hold an 8.5 lead over the Reds for first place in the NL Central and are back at it tonight at Busch Stadium against the Birds. To the NFL, the Packers are making some moves. They sent their former second-round pick, cornerback Josh Jackson, to the New York Giants in return for cornerback Isaac Yiadom. This will be Yiadom's third team since being drafted by the Broncos in the third round of 18 NFL college.
Current job isn't working out so well? Maybe you'd like a career where you work with your hands and make a good living. Have you thought of a career in a skilled trade like plumbing, electrical, or HVAC? You can be in demand and earn more than many college graduates without all the debt. To get your career started, go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin. Start today.
The Milwaukee Bucks announced yesterday that the Pfizer Forum would host the league's season opener October 19th, with the Bucks welcoming the Brooklyn Nets to town. The Deer will also play on Christmas Day for the 4th straight year as they take on the Boston Celtics. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Hour number 2 of the program, and we are glad you're here. Thanks so much taking a listen to the Bill Michaels Show, and we can't appreciate it enough. Back in studio today and the rest of the week. Tonight, the Happy Hour live stream is back. So I just posted that. As a matter of fact, we're going to be talking some country music coming up tonight, stepping out of sports a little bit. So we'll get into that discussion later on. But joining us right now from up in Green Bay, back at it, and with the Packers back in the practice field and the Jets doing the co-practice, Mark Daniels, WNFL in Green Bay. Mark, how you been?
I'm good, Janet. How are you?
I'm doing well. So now you've got another team to go bang around on a little bit. No Jordan Love today, as we heard in the last segment from Mike Clemens. So how is there a concern that Jordan Love is not going to play in this game and they're going to have to go with Kurt Bankert from the for the entire go, or are they considering bringing in another quarterback yet? What is the word?
Well, they have brought in Jake Dolegala. He's back after spending time here during the OTAs and the mini camp. You know, it was a tryout quarterback that they signed. He's been in a couple of NFL squads, practice squads and things. Matt still didn't rule out Love for Saturday. He said they're just going to take it day by day and see how he's progressing and where he's at, and then make a decision. He did do some throwing yesterday, and he was going to do some more today, so we'll just have to wait and see. Wouldn't surprise me if they held him out, to tell you the truth, and just let Beckert and Dolegala get through a game. They got a lot of other positions to worry about than the quarterback, obviously.
The special teams, like you had mentioned, not great. And I know that they bring in Yidam for this. Maybe they can add some depth to a gunner position. But the question I get asked to me all the time is, why do the Packers just simply not have good special teams? Give me your dissection of that.
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, Crosby's money. Scott's still inconsistent. They haven't had a dynamic returner since, good Lord, Desmond Howard. I don't know. Alan Rossum. Good Lord. And their cover teams just seem to have breakdowns, and that might be scheme. It might be talent. But, back in the day, there were 2 or 3 guys that were just, core special teams players that made their living taking charge of that group and leading the way. I remember a backup running back, never played on the offense, Marcus Wilson, who just was a great special teams player. Janis turned into a good special teams player. And they need guys like that, and I'm assuming it's going to be guys like a Vernon Scott and a Ty Summers, those backup inside backers and safeties that are going to have to take the lead and just find ways to do it better. Whether Maurice Drayton makes an impact, time will tell. He certainly didn't get off to a rousing start on Saturday night with a punt cover team. They averaged 18.2 yard a run back, and the guy that sent one to the sideline rather than down the middle just signed a deal with the Arizona Cardinals after clearing waivers. So they got some work to do.
Defensively speaking, up front, give me your thoughts. Lowry, Kiki Kingsley, Tyler Lancaster, Slayton. Do they have enough now to fortify the trenches, or do you think that they are still lacking?
I think it's going to be improved. It was kind of Clark and maybe a late surge from Lowry. Kiki flashed in 2 games, and then he hurt his ankle working out, so he got a late start to camp. But his line coach, Jerry Montgomery, really thinks he's going to make a big jump in year 3. And I'll tell you, TJ Slayton is a clogger, inside. He is really powerful. And I think he's going to be very interesting. He's going to get some snaps on early downs, certainly try and shore up the run defense. And, and Lowry and Lancaster are solid and far from spectacular players that'll at least give them some rotating bodies without too much of a drop. But I think Clark, Kingsley, and TJ Slayton just might give those guys a bit of a boost on that D-line.
Is the secondary still considered, in your eyes, one of the better in football?
Certainly the safety tandem is really good, and Jair Alexander is one of the top 5, I believe, in the league, at corner. I mean, the problem is I don't think he's going to get targeted a lot this year, and so it is incumbent on Kevin King to bounce back strong. Eric Stokes is coming around, but, yeah, I think Amos and Savage form a very good cohesive tandem at the back end. And you saw what a couple of years of communication and getting snaps together brought about at the end of last season when they started really making some game-changing plays.
Going over to the offensive side of the football, the running backs, I look at Dexter Williams. He graded highest in Pro Football Focus out of kind of the backups, and that's including A.J. Dillon. He at least had a broken tackle and a run of 10 yards. Is he right now, it's kind of his third position, his job to lose as the backup to the backup? Or do you think Hill is really coming on, or Taylor Jr. is really coming on?
Look, Dexter Williams got, 4 carries and got a couple of yards at the very end of that game Saturday night. And if that gives you the best grade against the 3s and 4s of the Houston Texans. So be it. I think he's running way behind both Kylan Hill and Patrick Taylor right now. I have those two guys neck and neck for the number 3 job behind obviously Aaron and AJ. So I think Dexter's in real trouble. I think he's in trouble.
The wide receiver position, the question is, are they going to keep 6? Are they going to keep 7? Who's going to get cut? I keep thinking Equanimeous St. Brown in that slot receiver position, probably the odd man out at this point, right?
I think, yeah, he's got an uphill battle for sure. Malik Taylor, Reggie Begelton, Juwan Winfrey are all vying for a spot, and we're assuming Devin Funchess is here. I think he will be. He had a very nice showing on Saturday night. So he joins, the Adams, MVS, Lazard, Cobb, and Rogers handful, and that gives them 6. So one more, throw them in a hat, Bill.
We're talking with Mark Daniels, WNFL in Green Bay. Matt LaFleur not happy with the offensive line performance, started to shake things up the other day. So what is the depth on the offensive line? I went into this season on paper looking at this as a very strong group. And now should I step back a minute and start to question it a little bit?
Maybe the guard spots, because that's the unsettled spot, and it's only unsettled because Elton Jenkins has to play left tackle, and he will open the season there. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Billy Turner's solid. Josh Myers has been very pleasant to watch as a rookie center, handling things. But it's a revolving door. Buckingham Palace has nothing on these guys. They're changing guards every series. Whether it's Lucas Patrick, who is the incumbent and the front runner, or John Runyon, or Ben Braden, or now Royce Newman. They've all been interchangeable left and right over the last couple of days of practice. And I was just trying to peek as they started some team periods here, but I'm a distance away, and I did see Runyon and Patrick working with the ones on the initial snaps, so maybe they're back in good graces. But you thought LaFleur was unhappy. Line coach Adam Stenovitz was really unhappy. He hoped that performance lights a fire under these guys, and see how they come off the ball today against players wearing green jerseys.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, because Lucas Patrick, I thought, it's not that he lights the world on fire, but he was at least formidable. And then you see what happened the other night, and I'm like, whoa, it's one thing to lose schematically. It's another thing to just get manhandled. And that front line got kind of manhandled the other night, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They couldn't move anybody. I mean, 3 yards on 9 carries in the first half. And until Dexter Williams wowed Pro Football Focus in the final 2 minutes, they were going to be under, 25, 30 yards rushing for a game. And that's obviously unacceptable. So, but I think whoever wins out, and when Bakhtiari gets back and Jenkins goes back to his, Pro Bowl spot, this line's going to be pretty good.
Can they not afford to? Those are probably the 2 injuries you can't afford, correct? Is another injury to Bakhtiari and an injury to Elkin Jenkins?
Yeah, for sure. Because anybody else gets hurt, Elton's just going to go play there. So that's fine. But yeah, Bakhtiari is a huge piece. But he has been working on the side. We've been watching him do, short sprints, cutting, jumping. He really looks good. I still think they're going to err on the side of caution early this season, carry him active, and let him work his way back into it over the course. So I wouldn't think much longer than 2 or 3 weeks.
John Runyon came in and filled in admirably last year. He was called upon in the very first game, as a matter of fact, coming in as a rookie. And how much bigger or better does he look?
Yeah, he's still learning. He's capable, I think. Yeah, he surprised me with how well he performed against the Vikings, and then just only got spot duty. But he's been okay in camp, and he's gotten a lot of the reps with the ones. And again, I see him out there again right now at left guard. And so I think they're building confidence in this kid. He has climbed to the 4 of the 6 offensive linemen they drafted in the last 2 years, along with this year's center, obviously, and Myers, who, as I said, is very good man in that job. He had it from day one as soon as Lindsley left, and they drafted him. But Runyon's next in line out of all those other guys they drafted. The center from Oregon, nothing there. The young guys this year, Van Lannen, he's got a long ways to go. He's going to be a practice squatter. So, yeah, I think John is getting there, but he's only a couple of games and a few weeks into his career.
Before I let you go, a couple questions. One is the tight end position. Jay Sternberger did not have a great season last year, did have a really good game the other night with Jordan Love throwing him the football. Do they keep 4 and then just consider Josiah DeGuara like a fullback? Or because I don't know if Dominic Daphne's on the outside looking in. I would assume at this point he probably is if they're going to keep additional wide receivers. How do you see the tight end chase shaping up?
Well, they trimmed it down to 7 with Isaac Nada on the IR list yesterday. But, yeah, Tunyon, Mercedes, DeGuaya for sure. Daphne really caught on so fast last year and made an impact down the stretch. I think it surprised everybody. He looks fine. I think Sternberger's in a battle. I can't imagine they go beyond 4, but they use these guys in so many different ways that it wouldn't shock me if, they had a handful for sure. But, Jace, Calusi are all in a fight for maybe 1 or 2 jobs at the most.
And then before I let you go, I wanted to ask you, give me your impression, because I just said, there was nothing spectacular about Jordan Love. He looked okay. There was a couple of plays he looked confused. He did pretty much what I expected him to do. Give me your thoughts on Jordan Love's first performance.
Yeah, I thought it was better than that for his first snaps in a game, since, his final year at Utah State. It took him a while, a little skittish early, but got into that rhythm on the scoring drive, and I thought he handled himself pretty well. One mistake, turned the wrong way on the 4th and 2. I think that's going to happen when you haven't played it so long. But he's getting there. Look, Rodgers knew he wasn't ready to play. Everyone knows he's not ready to play, and he probably won't be ready to play through the course of this season as well. But I see quarterback there. I really do, Bill. And it's just going to take, he needs game, speed, snaps. And you cannot replicate it out here. On Nitsky Field, you have to play games. And he needs to play a lot of games to really convince me that, he's going to be a winning quarterback in the NFL, much less a really, really good one.
Mark, great stuff, buddy. Get back to practice, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right, see you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. There you go. Mark Daniels, WNFL in Green Bay, joining us for a couple of minutes, giving us the lowdown as to what's going on up at practice today and some of his thoughts on the different positions. That was kind of a top to bottom. The only thing we didn't touch on was the linebacker position, but everything else we pretty much hit in the conversation. And you hit everything when you talk to our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Their conversation extremely thorough. They come into your house with the in-home consultation. They measure. They make sure the measurements. They come back and remeasure just to make sure everything's good. Then they can manufacture these windows. They can then assemble these windows, install these windows, and they're custom cut. They're custom set up just for you in your home. And right now they got a great offer. 5 years, no interest, no first payments for 5 months. Or whatever is best for you. 10 years, 2.99% APR financing, and everybody on Team Pella wants you to get in on this deal. Again, 5 years, no interest, no payments for the first 5 months, or 10 years, 2.99% APR. And it's back. It's back. That's right. That's the deal. So, look, I'm not a math whiz or anything like that. We all know that. But whatever's best for you, you can start to do the math. They can put all the numbers right there in front of you, and you can say whether it's 1 window, 3 windows, 10 windows, 10 windows and a door, just a patio door, whatever it happens to be, situation to make sure the cold winds, when they start blowing, you'll keep, and that way your home's more economical. And don't forget that Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, they are the best, as voted the consumers, people that have had them and had different experiences with different windows and put them in their homes. They're voted on by you. So all you got to do is check out our friends at PellaWI.com/radio. Pella, P-E-L-L-A, PellaWI.com/radio. That's PellaWI.com/radio. Or call them, 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855 PELLAWI, 855-PELLA-WI. And tell them we sent you. But if you're looking for new windows and doors, and now's the time to do it, because in a couple of months, you're going to say, damn, wish I would have done that. And you're going to be right. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
So Tom Silverstein of the Journal Sentinel, as we were talking to Mark Daniels from WNFL in Green Bay, we were talking about the running back position. Kellen Hill, he gets the start with the number one offense, which gives you kind of an idea of what they think of him. Aaron Jones taking part in the individuals, but Hill is the guy that's getting the nod right now. So Dexter Williams, for, much like Mark alluded to, even though he did have those numbers where he graded the highest out of that game when it came to the running back position, it's Hill, the guy that's kind of making the best impression. Here's what Mark Daniels had to say.
Look, Dexter Williams got, 4 carries and got a couple of yards at the very end of that game Saturday night. And if that gives you the best grade against the 3s and 4s of the Houston Texans, so be it. I think he's running way behind both Kylan Hill and Patrick Taylor right now. I have those two guys neck and neck for the number 3 job behind, obviously, Aaron and AJ. So I think Dexter's in real trouble. I think he's in trouble.
So there you go. That's his thoughts on Dexter Williams as to whether or not he is going to make this team. He's got the nose of the system. He's got the leg up, but if he can't do more than what he's showing right now, then he's not going to be long for this world. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Getting back to our topic that we started the show with today. We were talking about Christian Yelich, and last night, Christian Yelich 2 for 5, but he had 3 strikeouts, a couple of base hits, one of them being a double, and then 3 strikeouts. So was it a good night or a bad night for Christian Yelich? Normally 2 for 5 on a consistent basis, you take that every damn day of the week. But considering that he has struggled at the plate and 3 strikeouts, so it was either hit or miss, pardon the pun, last night. Not necessarily an awesome evening. This one is from Jim, who writes, if Christian Yelich hits the ball 265 or better and gives you 15 home runs per season, that's about what some of the players in Major League Baseball are averaging that are making $20 million or more. So to pay him $22 million over the next 7 or 8 years is not an awful contract. The Brewers should be able to unload that if they do decide to trade Christian Yelich, but it's not terrible. Yeah, Christian Yelich after this season, from 2022 all the way through 2028, will make $22 million a year. And then in 2029, he makes $20 million. That's it. So it is, his base salary is 26, 26, 26, 26, 26, 26, and then 28 million in the final year of the deal, but it goes all the way through 2029. So he would have to hit consistently better. But really, I think when you look at what Christian Yelich signed for, which the 7-year, $188.5 million contract, it was the power numbers that you were hoping to get back. It was just the power numbers that he was putting up at the time. So while the statistics aren't huge and they're not awful, but when you look at the home, I mean, he hit 80 home runs in 2 years. In 2018, 2019, between those two seasons, he hit 80 home runs, 36 and 44. He drove in close to 100, 110 and 97. Last year, obviously, a very shortened season, only 58 games, 200 at bats. He only gave you 12 home runs. But if you multiply that out, that might not be a terrible average when it comes to the power numbers. Going from last year, in 200 at bats, he hit 12 home runs. In 255 at bats this season, he's only hit 6. So his slugging percentage, which was .598 in 2018, .671 in 2019, has gone from .430 to .365 this year. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. So, if you got a thought on this, give us a shout. But it's a little disconcerting when we went through the numbers that Ben gave us earlier about the exit velocity. When you look at his power and how that's down, yeah, it's a little bit concerning. I mean, I hope that it comes back. I hope that this 7-game hit streak is the start of something. I hope it's the start of something. Cross your fingers, because if he does come back to form, holy mackerel, the Brewers become almost the shoo-in candidate to at least get to a World Series, in my opinion. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. This is from Jenna. Jenna says, huge Christian Yelich fan. He's going to be okay. People need to lay off. Well, Jenna, it's not about laying off. It's about you're displaying the facts. I mean, look, there a lot of people's power numbers are down this season. That I agree with. It's not just him, but he's the star of your team. This would be the same as if all of a sudden Giannis wasn't Euro-stepping as much and was still giving you 21 points a game, but it's nowhere near what he's given you in the past. He's giving you 21 points a game and 4 rebounds and 4 assists. Well, then he's not what he was. And you need him to be what he was for the team to be consistently successful. For the Brewers, it's a little bit different because Yelich, one man does not make a baseball team. One man doesn't make a basketball team either, but let's be honest. I mean, you've got plenty of teams that are in the postseason because they have the one guy that can carry them. Baseball is a little bit different animal. This is from tapping the keg Dave, who says Brewers last night get the win 2-0, and people are clamoring for something more. What more do they want? They're not clamoring for more. Maybe they are. I mean, I don't speak for everybody. I'm looking at the Brewers saying, you know what? Good win last night. They're up in the standings. Things continue to progress forward. They continue to put more distance between them and the Cincinnati Reds. I'll take it. Absolutely, I'll take it. I think what we're all looking for is, what is this team going to look like moving forward when they get to the postseason? And if Christian Yelich can bounce back and start to give you what he was giving you in 2018 or 2019, or even a replication of it, it's going to be a hell of a team. But if he can't, then what do? You can't continually put him up there with runners in scoring position or with men on base, and strikeouts continue to be persistent. I don't think you're going to have to go that far, to be honest with you, but 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. The other, I guess, bit of note over at MLB.com, they've got an update on the National League most valuable player, Fernando Tatis, still running away with it. Bryce Harper of the Phillies at number 2, Max Muncy, the first baseman of the Dodgers, Jesse Winker, I should say, of the Reds, and then Zach Wheeler, the right-hander for the Phillies, also getting some first-place votes. Joey Votto, Trey Turner, Buster Posey, Brandon Crawford, Juan Soto, Corbin Burns, Acuna Jr., Freddie Freeman, Willie Adames, Walker Buehler, Brian Reynolds, Adam Frazier, Nick Castellanos, Jake DeGrom, Chris Taylor, Jake Cronenworth, Kevin Gausman, and Manny Machado. No mention of Woodruff. Burns has been getting a ton of the headlines. As much as I like Burns, Woodruff has just been solid. When was the last time they appointed a Brewers starter on opening day as the man? And he's actually lived up to it all season long. It's been a while. Been a while. And I Woodruff has stopped losing streaks. He's pitched extremely well and been consistent all throughout the season. Not that Corbin Burns hasn't. Burns gets a lot of headlines because of his strikeout to walk ratio. I mean, and deservedly so. But what a great problem to have. And like I mentioned, Willie Adames also getting some nods. But Willie Adames has fallen off of the MVP race as of late. But Colton Wong last night, sticking it to his old team. Corbin Burns getting the W, and then the bullpen coming in and shutting it down. So good night last night for the Brewers in all senses. And then, like I had mentioned before, the fact that they continue to put distance between them and Cincinnati, they're now 8.5 games up. 8.5 games up on the Reds. 11 on the St. Louis Cardinals. Their season's over. The Cubs 21 back. Pittsburgh 31 back. I like the fact. I don't know. I keep saying this, but I am reveling in the fact that the Cubs have just gone. They are only 10 games better than Pittsburgh. When Pittsburgh was 20-plus games for a while and the Cubs were trying to fight for the top spot in the division, and then they conceded. Uncle! They were packed 20 games back. 53-69, 16 games under 500. The Brewers 4 wins away from going up 30 games above 500, 73-47 on the season. Wow. They've won 3 straight, and they continue to win on the road. That's the most amazing thing about it. They're 21 games over 500 on the road. 21 games over 500. 32-27 at home. 5 games above 500 at home. But 21 games over 500 on the road. On the road. And with teams having a record better than 500, they're 26-24. The Reds sub 500 at 28-33, and then it goes down from there. Hell, even the Dodgers with 74 wins in the season, they're 2 games under 500 when it comes to facing teams who are better than 500 with winning records. The Brewers, one of the only teams in the National League. You've got the San Francisco Giants, who are 32-24. San Diego, 31-20. Cincinnati, I had mentioned. And no team in the East has a winning record against teams better than 500. The Braves are 26-30. Philadelphia at 31-32. The Mets 31-37, 26-49 out of Washington, 27-47 out of Miami. Think about that. No team in the East has a winning record against a team that has a 500 or better record. 877-867-1670. Some interesting stats. Just throwing them out there for you because that's how good the Brewers are this year. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. We'll be talking about an article they sent over on Facebook. I'm sorry, guys, I don't see it. I don't know where you sent it, but I don't see it. Hasn't popped up. Just an FYI. Scott says, man, I thought Yelich was due last night with the bases loaded. 3-2 count to put the game away, and then the strikeout on a bad pitch low and outside. Brian says, up 8.5 games, 26 games over 500. Must be a slow news day to pick apart a player like Yelich. Maybe lingering injury and a guy in a slump pressing to succeed to help his team. No big deal. Oh, the woes of a floundering in first place. Brian, are you an ass just to be an ass or what? It's not picking on him. I asked a question. So answer the question. Was it a good day or a bad day? Was it a good day or a bad day? That was the question. He went 2 for 5, looked bad on 3 strikeouts, had a double and a base knock. Statistics are saying, well, okay, over the last 7 games, he's starting to hit the ball, which is fantastic. Nobody's picking on him. Everybody's rooting for him. But I was asking a question. So if you're going to sit back and say, it's just like when the Packers, you know what? Best offensive football. No problem. What are you talking about? This team's going to the Super Bowl, and then they get beat, and then the world ends. And you say, oh, my God, if they just had one more guy that he trusted. That's what we were saying all along. We're asking a question. That's what we do. Gary says it's a good day. Eight 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, do so. This is from Mark. Mark says, everybody picking on Christian Yelich is correct. Christian Yelich hasn't looked like Christian Yelich since 2019 when he went down with the injury to the kneecap. Something has changed. We can all see it. Nobody wants to admit it. Everybody wants to stand and cheer because everybody bought a Yelich jersey when he was lighting the world on fire. Since then, he has not been the same player. Can we just all admit that? We hope that he all busts out of. We hope that all of us feel he busts out of the slump in the postseason, which would be great because this team would then be on their way to a world championship. I, for one, would love to see it more than anything as being a baseball fan growing up. I think that Christian Yelich would love to be able to hit the ball the way he once did, but let's be honest, he is not. So why are we all masking this? It's not a problem. It's just simply saying that if he was hitting the ball the way he was a couple of years ago, he would not be hurting this team. He would be accentuating this team. He only hurts this team at times. He's still a good defender. He's still a name in the lineup. The team is winning without his bat. So that says something about Craig Counsell. He's got Chris Counsell being the manager of the year. Can we talk about that a little bit more? But for those that want to constantly defend Yelich as if he's some kind of a god who's just having a bad day at the office, stop it. He's got over 400 at-bats, as stated, and he has not performed well. Can we just sit down and say, if what is wrong with Christian Yelich is going to linger, then there should be a concern. If there's not, then don't worry about it. You penned that really quickly because there's some misspellings in there, but I like it. I understand what you're saying. And that's it. It's not picking on anybody. It's not trying to pick apart the team. The team is playing extremely well. The team is getting, if you want to look at the positive and you want me to blow the sunshine up your ass, here you go. They're winning in games in which they shouldn't win. They were predominantly one of the worst teams in baseball offensively for a good portion of the season and still are in the lower half. Even though they've been able to climb out of the basement or out of what's near the basement, they are still in the lower half in many categories in baseball. Craig Counsell has pushed many of the right buttons. The use of the bullpen has been fantastic. Guys that have just shown up have stepped up. The trade for Adames has been fantastic. The trade for Escobar, fantastic. The signing of Jackie Bradley Jr., not good. He's had a couple of moments, but not good. Rowdy Tellez. When did he go from Rowdy Tellez to Rowdy Tellez? It's like harassment.
It's always been Tellez.
It always has been?
Yeah.
Okay, I must be way off the mark then, because I had heard Tellez, and that's just kind of what I always stuck with. So Rowdy Tellez. Okay. So the signing of Rowdy Tellez has been solid. No problems there. Everything's been pretty much, for the most part, good. The fact that the Reds made a wholehearted charge, they went out and picked up arms for their bullpen when they needed it most. Their offense has come on in the second half of the season. They've put together an enormous amount of winning since the month of June, and they still cannot, to this point, catch the Milwaukee Brewers. It's all trending in the right direction. There's all good there. If Keston Hiura hit better, which we don't even talk about Keston Hiura, and you can say what you want about Keston Hiura because a lot of people are like, who cares? Because it's Keston Hiura. But you mention Yelich's name in any kind of a negative light, and people get all pissed off because they got their Yelich jersey hanging in their closets, and they don't want to hear about it. Like, we're just telling you the truth. Christian Yelich just looks tentative at times and looks like he's guessing. I've said that all along. He looks like at times he's guessing, like he's guessed wrong. 877-867-1670. Call in, for God's sakes, if you can. If you got something to say, say it. 877-867-1670. Let's go to Mark. Mark, welcome to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. What's up?
Good morning, Bill. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
To answer your question, I think he had a good day. Yes, he was 2 out of 5, but at least now he's starting to swing things out of his comfort zone, which I think is important, and that's only going to improve his game. I had a question, though. What's your take? And you might have already talked about this. I just kind of started listening to you about a half hour ago. But what's your take on Yelich? Say if his numbers don't improve too much and maybe even diminish a little, do you think Craig Counsell is going to kind of give him a small heading in? And I do want to thank you for the or my ass thanks you for that ray of sunshine you just sent out. Big props. Again, great show. I love listening to you, Bill. I'm glad to hear you're back on the air, and I know I speak for the rest of Wisconsin by saying thank you very much. I'll hear your comments out there.
Thank you very much. So his question was regarding Christian Yelich, would they consider moving him down? I don't think so. It depends on how bad it gets. Do they diminish his role? No, I don't think so. I don't think that happens. I think that he is, he is what he is. I mean, they're going to allow him a long time to battle out of this. A long time to battle out of this. Just because he's Christian Yelich, again, you're just not going to sit him. You're not going to diminish his role. You're not going to put him in a defensive capacity. You're going to hope that he comes up clutch as he's done in the past because you know he has it in him. Chris says, what are his numbers over the last 2 years? Because those are very indicative. Well, he's only over the last 2 years, from last season, which was not a great season, and this season combined. If you want to combine the statistics, he's hitting 224. That's your reality. He's hitting 239 this season, but if you combine last year and this year, he's hitting 224. He's 102 for 455. He has scored 89 runs. He has given you 19 doubles in 2 seasons, 2 triples, only 18 home runs. Now think about this, okay? So if you want to put it in comparison, 2 years prior, in 2019, he hit 489 at-bats and gave you 44 home runs. He's less than half of the home runs that he gave you. If you want to combine these 2 seasons, last year and this year, which is about a full season of baseball, he's given you half the home runs that he gave you in 2019. He's given you he's given you exactly half. He's given you less than half, we'll say. He's given you exactly half of what he gave you in 2018. So think about that for a minute. 877-867-1670. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, a training camp update. In Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers made a trade sending defensive back Josh Jackson to the New York Giants in exchange for another DB, Isaac Yiadom. Now, Jackson started in 10 games his rookie year, but by the end of last season, he was on the inactive list for the postseason, even though he was healthy. At the time, Matt LaFleur said,
Yeah, I think Jacko's done some nice things. He competes on a daily basis to the best of his ability. And, just we need him to step up and be a player for us.
The Packers joint practice sessions are underway with the New York Jets. In 2019, Packers Jay Sternberger and Trevor Davis both suffered head injuries after cheap shots taken by the Houston Texans. LaFleur hopes that can be avoided this time.
It's just always great when you can incorporate more of a game type pressure in practice, but not putting your players more at risk, because there's nobody going to be going to the ground and tackling. So I think it's just going to be a really good evaluation tool for us.
The Jets' new head coach, Robert Saleh, is one of Matt LaFleur's best friends. Does that help with the planning?
I think it helps. We've had a lot of discussion to make sure that we're both getting the work that we need. I value these things greatly just because of if you go in there with the right intent to compete and not look at it like it's a free-for-all where you're trying to do extra, there's not as much guard up with regards to communication and protecting, if you will, but just a good collaboration to make sure that we're both getting the work in that we need to get the most out of this practice.
Packers defensive lineman Kingsley Keke on facing another team in practice.
It just brings a lot more juice, having another team come in, just competing, bringing that competitive edge. Just going there, showing what I can do, showing what we can do, and just brings excitement, especially this week against the Jets.
That's the Packers' Kingsley Keke from training camp in Green Bay. I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
We continue on talking a little Christian Yelich, Brewers baseball. Brewers 8.5 games up, back at it again with the St. Louis Cardinals, looking to continue to win on the road. I did read the Christian Yelich article that everybody's kind of passing around saying, you got to read it. And there's a lot of legitimacy to it. And it's some of the stuff that I was saying. He just looks like he's just missing. Like he's guessing or he's thinking too much. And you're right. It's a lot of it's between the ears. It's also about the aggressiveness for balls that are outside of the strike zone and attacking pitches rather than waiting for pitches, which is something that even I've alluded to numerous times to say, well, he's also taking walks. He's not striking out a ton. But his swings and misses or his swings, contact, and exit velocity are less. And they're very indicative of the beginning of his career because of as the article puts it, the passiveness to attack the baseball. And, that's one of the things that in the article, it kind of addresses the fact that early on in his career, wow, that wasn't it. It was this and this and this. But the numbers don't lie. Sometimes you just need to go on the offensive, and he doesn't look like he's on the offensive right now. He looks like he's trying to crush every pitch, but he also looks like he's trying to take a little bit of extra time to decide if he's going to crush that pitch, which is thus the perplexed look sometimes you get when he swings and just flat out swing through the baseball. So I agree with that. I agree with it. Gary says, don't worry about last year. It means nothing. Well, it does because it shows a pattern. You can't ignore it. You can't just say, well, don't worry about last year. Well, yeah, you worry about last year because last year has 200 at-bats to it. You can't just make that go away. The same way you can't say, well, ignore 2018. It was an apparition. Look at most of his career. 280, 300, 290, 280. But the years that he had in 2018, 2019, when he had 326 and 329, that's not normal. So just get rid of him. You can't do that. That's almost 1,100 at bats. You can't just get rid of them. The same way as 455 at bats, you can't toss by the wayside. It's just, again, it's just getting back to comfort. And sometimes it's the inches between the ears that get in the way. And if this article is correct, let's just say that on its face it is, then it goes back to what we've been stating, that it's just thinking a lot at the plate. And Alex says same thing happened to Cody Bellinger. It looked like there was going to be a kind of a Sosa-McGuire rivalry for a lot of years, and it's both guys have kind of fallen by the wayside when it comes to statistics and the massive numbers they were putting up. 877-867-1670. Chime in. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to continue to talk about this. And I want to ask you another question regarding the Brewers. This is where the ray of sunshine up your butt goes. Are the Brewers the team to beat when it comes to the World Series? If so, tell me why. And if not, tell me what the Achilles heel is. Are the Brewers the team to beat when it comes to the World Series? And if so, tell me why. And if not, tell me what their Achilles heel is. Because I would like to get your opinion on that. I think that anytime you have incredible pitching top to bottom, you are a team to beat. Because it really, really, really good pitching makes up for a lot of stuff, a lot of other things. So you tell me, are the Milwaukee Brewers the team to beat when it comes to the World Series? Yay or nay? 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go. Good stuff today. A lot of people chiming in. A lot of people chiming in. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers have a season-high 8.5 game lead in the NL Central. That's after a 2-0 win last night over St. Louis. Corbin Burns went 6 innings, allowing just 2 hits and striking out 3 to get the win. Josh Hader picked up his 24th save of the season. Colton Wong and Omar Narvaez each had run-scoring doubles to account for the offense for Milwaukee. Wong, who played his entire career with the Cardinals before the season, says taking Game 1 of the series is significant.
Big time. I mean, obviously, we know how good they are. I mean, it doesn't matter 10 games or what, this team will fight back to the very end. So to come in here and get that first win is huge for us. We're definitely excited about that. And, any more wins that we can get on this next 2 games would be huge. Just continue to create separation and keep us out in front.
Milwaukee improved to 7-1 on their current road trip. Season best 26 games above 500. Lead the Reds by 8.5 games in the division. They will face the Cardinals again tonight in St. Louis. First pitch at 6:45. The Bucks going to raise their NBA championship banner to the rafters October 19th when they open the season against Brooklyn at Fiserv Forum. Also, that was announced yesterday. Milwaukee also going to host Boston on Christmas Day. Full schedule comes out Friday.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1995.
Well, the Packers were on the field with the Jets this morning for the first of 2 joint practices. The 2 teams also going to Saturday afternoon. Yesterday, the team traded quarterback Josh Jackson to the Giants for cornerback Isaac Yiadom. And the Badgers practice this morning now sit just 17 days out from their opener against Penn State at Camp Randall. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Welcome back. I want to get into this real quick, and then we're going to listen to Matt LaFleur coming up later on in this hour. But I want to know. This is from James, who says, I really believe the Brewers are going to win a World Series. I think their pitching is the best. I think they have timely hitting and a manager that knows how to press the right buttons more often than not. That's what it takes to get wins in the postseason. Crafty Badger says, I think the Brewers are the team to beat. Yes. Excited about this team, excited about the pitching staff and the homegrown talent they have produced. This is from Thunder Ray. Thunder Ray says, a unit, absolutely this is the team to beat when it comes to the World Series. They have been there all season long. They have sustained many runs by other teams within the division and fended everyone off. They have beaten the teams they need to, and they have a winning record against teams better than 500. There's a lot of reasons to believe that the Brewers could be the team either to win the World Series or at least to get to the World Series. I know it's dare to dream. And this is from Landon, who says, oh my God, you just effing jinxed us. Come on. You can mention this. You can discuss it. I'm not saying for certain they are the team to beat and they are going to win a World Series. I was also the guy that said that the Milwaukee Bucks are going to the NBA Finals. And that never jinxed them. So come on. But are they the team to beat when it comes to the World Series? SJ said, do you realize that if Christian Yelich just hits 250 between now and the end of the season and gives us a little bit of pop, this team will be by far the team to beat in the World Series? I don't know about 250. I mean, I'd like to see him hit even better, but you're right. At least then it would start to put some doubt in the minds of those that are throwing to him, like, oh, is this guy starting to come back? By the way, that article, I'll post it. Some people were asking about it. I'll post it. I'll post a link to it. It is pretty insightful. I'll give you that. It is pretty insightful. Susanna says, who cares if they win or lose? They're my Brewers. Go Crew. Well, Susanna, that's a wonderful, happy outlook. That is living in blue and amber wheat town. Way to go. Oh, the don't rain on my parade people are coming out. Jeff says, save it for the Milwaukee Brewers. I believe that they are going to win a World Series. For those that doubt them, all you have to do is look at their pitching staff as being one of the best in baseball. Pitching will win you championships. Hitting is all for show. I think they have to go hand in hand. I really do. Let's go back to the phone calls. 877-867-1670. Let's go to our buddy Jim. Jim, how you doing, pal? What's up?
Hey, doing pretty good here, unit. You nailed it with everything said about Yelich. One thing that's really kind of interesting I caught, when the Brewers were playing the Cubs, I tuned into the Cubs broadcasting station. And, I mean, the quality of broadcasters are much better than ours, but that's a whole other topic. Anyways, one of the ex-ball players, I think his name is Coomer, that does the play-by-play with the Cubs. Yeah, mentioned that Yelich hit one through the infield on the left side, went past the third baseman. And just to let you know, his head isn't into it. You usually make a turn towards second base if it's through. Well, he continued down the line. Mm-hmm. And they made that comment that this guy is struggling mentally. So, yeah, he's probably got some physical issues with the kneecap possibly, but I think way too much of his problem is upstairs betwixt his ears. So, just want to make that comment, and, that's my read on it.
Okay.
So.
No, I think a lot of us, and, here's the other thing, and you bring up a really good point. Mike writes in, and do we know what's going on behind the scenes? There could be more to Christian Yelich's life than just merely baseball. Sometimes things off the field begin to leak in. Have we ever asked that question? Mike, no, we haven't. I mean, you're 100% correct. Some things could be going on behind the scenes. Who knows? Who knows? I have no idea. It could be concerns about world peace or whatever's going on in his particular world. I don't know. People are affected differently by things going on around them, whether it's him just trying to get a hit, whether it's him mentally not having his sounding board in Ryan Braun, which was kind of his counterpart in the clubhouse. If he's putting a ton of pressure on himself after signing the contract, if it's the kneecap, if it's pain, if it's something going on in his own home, nobody knows. I mean, people may inside that clubhouse know, but nobody else knows. So if you say his head's not in it, his mind's not in it, he's sometimes you can over focus. You can think, okay, here it comes. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to do this perfectly. And in your head, it looks great. But in reality, it just very rarely does it happen that way. So you begin to doubt yourself. And have you ever, I'm trying to kind of throw it out there in any particular sense, but have you ever had something at work and you're like, okay, today's going to be great. I'm going to do this, and this. It's all going to I'm going to hit my list. I'm going to check all the boxes today. Sometimes that happens, and you walk away and you go, man, I feel accomplished. I feel really good. And one of those days gives you energy and enthusiasm, and you come back stronger the next day. But then there's those days where you're like, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And then you start to do this, and suddenly you get distracted by something else going on around you, or gossip, or something that maybe just you didn't plan on, and it takes you in a different direction. And that direction just takes you down in the mud. You know, maybe you get caught up in gossip, or maybe you get caught up with a breakdown of your computer or a printer, or whatever your job is. And it throws you off and you don't get anything accomplished. And you walk away going, man, this sucks. And then you go to the next day and the same thing happens. And the next day and the same thing happens. And all of a sudden you start walking in the door to work going, well, what's going to happen today? Your enthusiasm, your mental state, you're focusing so hard. It just kind of goes awry. That can happen too. I'm not saying that's it. I'm just simply saying there's a bunch of different circumstances that can come up that can pull your focus. Now, some will say, and you are correct, well, if I was making $22 million a year, my focus would be pretty much laser sharp. True. But that's also taking into account that you're not talking about a human being. You're talking about a $22 million robot, and that's not happening. And even every now and then, robots need to be recalibrated, as I'm reminded. I just, whatever's going on, I hope they figure it out. Brentley says, to answer your question, yes, I believe so. This team reminds me a lot of the 2010 San Francisco Giants. Pitching. In the postseason, he goes on to say that, oops, it went away. There we go. In the postseason, the game slows down, and every bat is that much more important. I think this offense can hit in the clutch and in those situations. 877-867-1670. Let's go to Nathan. Nathan, welcome to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. What's going on, man? Nathan.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Good. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, I'm a hitting coach, and I actually work for an MLB player, Eric Munson, out of Dubuque, Iowa here.
Okay.
And I'm a big Brewers fan. Listen to your show all the time. Love it. Anyways, with Christian Yelich, I believe 100% that it's totally mental. Yeah, we all have injuries. Everyone goes through that. But so Eric Munson, my boss, his best friend is Eric Chavez, who's a hitting specialist for the Angels.
Okay.
And he works with Mike Trout, and he was in our facility like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, before the All-Star game. And he was telling me how Mike Trout was going through a couple weeks slump or whatever. And I'm asking, like, how do you deal with that from a big league perspective with that kind of ego, that kind of money, all that? And his response was, he's like, I just sat behind him for 20 minutes during batting practice. And I'm like, all right, what do you think, Mike? What's going on with your swing? And he told me, he's like, well, I'm trying to slot my elbow. I'm trying to do all this stuff. I'm trying to keep my hands inside the ball, drive opposite field. He's thinking about all these mechanics. And Chavez, I don't know if you know who Eric Chavez is, the 6-time Gold Glove winner.
Yeah.
Anyways, his response was, how about you just try to hit a single? Like, stop trying to do too much. And that was like at the bigger levels. He's like, these guys think a lot like the younger guys even do. And it gets in your head so easily. And hitting is so hard at 90 to 100 miles per hour. And all these people commenting, they don't understand that 100 miles per hour is insane. Mm-hmm. So it is so mental. And I always go back to the Yogi Berra quote of, hitting 100 or 90% mental and the other half physical. Mm-hmm. And I think that quotes it out perfectly for Christian Yelich, what's going on with him.
So let me ask you something, because at some point, being a hitting coach, how much does video come into this to where you can actually show what this person is doing?
A lot. I mean, so when I'm doing lessons with my kids, I work with kids. We have D1 players coming to our facility, but all the way down to 8 years old. We have something called Coach's Eye. It's an awesome app for all you parents out there that want to take a look at kids and slow motion things. But we can draw on that app, all that stuff, and I do it inside the middle of a game. Where I'll show a kid, if they ask me, they have to come to me. But I can break down things really easily. Now, I think he's probably used to that. So this is a big change for him, not having that in his dugout, not having that breakdown in the middle of a game to see what's going on with him. If he's loading early, if he's his timing's correctly, what's going on with his swing. Mechanically, I don't think there's anything wrong. I've looked at his swing a million times. I've done, hitting analysis on his swing as well on my page for Facebook, but it's a big deal, and I think it's a big change for him. Obviously, Andy Haynes, his hitting coach, is going over after the game, but in between innings is a big deal to see it, to get mentally sweat. I mean, I think you take that away from Aaron Rodgers.
Did they eliminate the use of video in between at bats, or is that back now this year?
I thought that was gone. I haven't seen it in the dugout, but I'm in Iowa and they black out all their games now, so I don't even get to watch half the games anymore.
Okay,
which is driving me crazy.
Yeah,
but I don't believe they get to use it. I just look at it for Aaron Rodgers. If you took away his iPad or Surface or whatever in between his quarters, going back and looking at the next play, what's going on, where he made his mistake, that changes his complete approach on the game.
Right.
Entirely.
Yep. No doubt. Good call, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening to us too. Okay.
All right. No problem. Take care, guys.
Appreciate it, pal. Talk to you soon. There you go, man. A little bit of insight. Guy says he's a hitting coach. This is what he does. And a lot of good insight.
Video is back, Bill, for this year. They changed some aspects of it, like they removed the catcher's signals and things along those lines, but the players are able to see their at bats in between innings.
And see, I thought they were, and they used to go down the hall into the tunnel, and there was a video room back there. But don't they do it now on like Surface Pros or something, or iPads or something like that?
Yeah, they have it all on iPads above ground, obviously, after the Astros. And this after, in 2020, they took all of it away. But now they made it kind of all visible to the other teams.
Okay. See, I thought that they brought that. Some people were saying, well, they didn't bring it back and it's hurting. And I thought they did. I think they just adjusted it a little bit. So, okay, there we go. So we got a couple of answers. Let's do this. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. Matt LaFleur spoke before practice today. We want to hear what Matt LaFleur has to say. We can always pick this back up. But the question is, coming into the Brewers postseason, are they the team to beat? Are they the team to beat when it comes to the World Series? Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Took him a while, a little skittish early, but got into that rhythm on the scoring drive, and I thought he handled himself pretty well. One mistake, turned the wrong way on the 4th and 2. I think that's going to happen when you haven't played it so long. But he's getting there. Look, Rodgers knew he wasn't ready to play. Everyone knows he's not ready to play, and he probably won't be ready to play through the course of this season as well. But I see quarterback there. I really do, Bill.
Mark Daniels from earlier today from WNFL in Green Bay, talking about what he's witnessed so far with Jordan Love getting a lot of snaps at practice. Welcome back to the program. Hey, this portion of the program brought to you by our friends at New Mel Medical. Treating guys with ED, 98% success rate all over the joint. All but guaranteeing the fact that they can help you out. Can't do anything if you don't call. 414-455-4451. That's 414-455-4451. That's the New Mel Medical Center. So when it comes to ED, they got you covered. Low T treatments. If you're feeling sluggish, if you're feeling moody, if you're sitting here listening to the program right now and you're like, man, in the office, you're doing a little bit of work. Maybe you're driving someplace. Hopefully you're not going to fall asleep. But if you're feeling just like dragging tired, like, man, oh man, I just can't do this. Could be if you're over the age of 30, could be some low T. Takes about 15 minutes to head into the office, get your numbers checked, and they'll let you know what's going on. And if you are low, they can always set you up on a program. If you're not, they can just say, hey, some more vitamins, supplements, whatever that happens to be. Or let's just say you put on some weight. You've got the COVID 10, 20, or 30 coming out of the quarantines from last year, and you just haven't taken it off, and you're just uncomfortable. Well, maybe it's something as simple as that. Maybe it's something as simple as that. 414-455-4451. That's the New Mel Medical Center. All you got to do is call. Again, 414-455-4451. 414-455-4451. The New Mel Medical Center. Make sure you give them a call and tell them we sent you. So, Matt LaFleur, head coach for the Green Bay Packers, he had a chance to meet with the media prior to today's joint practice, and that is with the New York Jets. So here's the question. Or I shouldn't say here's the question. Here's the head coach, Matt LaFleur, talking to the media.
Well, Jordan going to do anything today or tomorrow?
He threw a little bit yesterday. I think we'll test him again, but you probably will not see him in any practice reps.
Is that poorly for Saturday, or is that still?
It's still day to day, but we'll give him every opportunity. We just don't want to ever put him in a situation where it could make it worse.
What'd you like in Jake that you decided to bring him back?
Well, certainly there's a comfort level there because he's been in our building and he understands it, what we're all about, how we coach. He knows he's got a little bit of, I would say, familiarity with our scheme and our system and the language. And that's usually one of the hardest things to kind of get guys up to speed with, is just being able to spit out the plays and whatnot. So I think that definitely helped his cause. But he's a big guy that has, incredible arm strength and a lot of power. And so, we'll let him go out there today and see how he does.
What's the biggest thing you're hoping to get out of these next 2 days here with another team on practice field?
I just think it's great from a competition standpoint to go out there and compete against somebody else and kind of see where you stack up. And, these guys get sick of hitting each other every day, the same guys. And you kind of, throughout practice, you get such a familiarity with who you're going up against. And so it's nice just to kind of, see a different face in front of you, a different technique, a different system. There's a lot of similarities really in all three phases in terms of some of the coverage stuff we do with some of the coverage stuff they do, but our fronts are totally different. And there's obviously from an offensive standpoint, the foundation is the same, but we have different players. We have different styles. So there is a lot of familiarity, but I think there's going to be enough of a difference that it'll be really good for our guys, not only to just kind of test their rules, their knowledge, because it's not like there's a lot of game planning going on.
Aaron not having any preseason snaps, these would seem to be some pretty important days for him to get ready. What's the plan for him, and is there any dialogue or compromise with him on these days, given his feelings about them?
I don't know what you're talking about, Ryan. No, yeah, first of all, there's always a lot of dialogue with him in terms of, hey, what would you like to try or test, or if we need a specific situation, whether it's red zone, third down, just whatever it may be. So yeah, there was a lot of dialogue leading up to this in terms of what we exactly wanted to get out of it.
What is it that you want to get out of it?
I mean, it's without giving too much away. There's some pretty cool pressure packages that the Jets do that test a lot of some of our rules, and so I told Salah and those guys over there, don't hold back, man. And it's a little bit different because typically when you're going into a game plan, you have your protection meeting with everybody in the room, with your O-line, your backs, tight ends, quarterbacks, all the coaches. And it's not like we didn't necessarily do that for this. So it really does truly test your rules. And it's going to be great for some of our young players that, haven't really been in that situation with him before, Josh, and you'll see Royce running there in there with the ones today. So I just think that there's going to be a lot of benefits that come out of this.
Personal level, having your brother, one of your best friends on the other side for joint practices, do you ever stop and kick yourself and look back at where you guys started and now where you're at, having joint practice against each other?
No, but you just made me think of it, Dave. So, yeah, it is pretty cool. I can remember when, Saul and I were at Central Michigan together, and my brother was in high school with his girlfriend at the time, which is now his wife, Lauren, and we'd all be going over to Doozie's, the ice cream shop together. So it is a long way from Mount Pleasant.
Will your new corner be practicing today?
Yeah, Isaac. Yeah. I'm expecting him to. Yes.
What do you guys like about him, and what kind of went into that swap there?
Yeah, it's just a chance to look at somebody else, but he's a big physical corner, and we'll try to implement him as quickly as possible and get him ingrained in what we're trying to get done, and we'll give him a chance to go out there and compete.
Man, in your experience, has there been just guys that have made changes of sceneries that has just helped turn things around for them?
Yeah, I think that can be the case for a lot of guys. So I think, I appreciate everything Josh has done. He's a great young man, and certainly we wish him well, and it'll be nice for him. He's got a familiar face there with Patrick Graham as the D coordinator with the Giants, who I got a lot of respect for. I think he's a really good coach, but it'll be great for Jacko to get an opportunity to go there and compete.
To me, this camp, a big story maybe we should think more about is how many players you got out there that haven't played in a year and a half or 2 years in a game because of various circumstances. So when you're trying to figure out snaps, does that factor into your mind? Like, man, this is going to take more snaps for us to see what this guy really like in a football game.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that's why I think you got to take advantage of every opportunity, whether it's in practice or in those preseason games that we're fortunate to have now, to get a great evaluation and see where these guys are.
Matt, do you and Robert, do you have to coordinate, for instance, when you're going to go with 3 or 4 wide so he can match, or do you do that? Do you like to do it on the run like it was a game?
Well, we will have a move the ball period today. But that's something, yes, as far as the personnels are concerned, that's something that we basically give them the down and distance and what personnel we're going to be in, and how they match it. I really don't know. Well, I can't wait to find out. But
now best part about it is that you don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, conversely, my brother Mike sent Joe Barry the D&Ds and the personnel, and then we match it accordingly. So, it is. There's a lot that goes into it, a lot of communication, coordination to make sure that the practice runs smoothly.
All right, let's go to Zoom. Sarah, go ahead.
We have three in here. Bill Heward.
Hey, Matt, this is actually kind of right along the lines of what Spoon just asked you. Just logistically, how difficult is this to pull off? I'm guessing the idea of joint practices is pretty easy, but to pull it off must be a lot of work. It's not to get what you want done and what they want to get done and coordinate.
Yeah, there's just a lot of collaboration, and it's easy when you communicate with, people that you're so close with. You can kind of have a lot of back and forth. I thought going through it a couple of years ago certainly kind of gave us an outline with Houston in terms of how we wanted to format it, and it's a similar format. We changed a couple of the situations, and certainly you always learn from some of your mistakes that you made along the way. Like I mentioned earlier this week with some of the special teams things. So, but I think we're excited about it, and I think it's going to be really good for both teams.
Steve McCarthy.
You guys are having a whole lot of family members in town for this event. I was just wondering, will you and your brother have a chance to get together at any point during this next 3 days other than on the practice field in the stadium, or is it pretty much a sick event?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's time, especially with how these rules with how many hours you can have your players nowadays. Training camp is not like certainly the days of the old or when I first got into this league, but so there's time in the evenings for us to kind of chit chat and get together. And his family's staying at my house, so I'm sure I'll see him more than I want to.
And last one, Aaron Egler.
Coach, Steno mentioned a lack of juice and or energy up front from your young offensive linemen on Saturday night. Do the next 2 days, obviously you got to get a lot of work in once, but do the next 2 days give those young players an opportunity to fire off the ball, maybe work a little bit more on the run game so you can maybe have a better production on Saturday?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. And it's a different style of defense, which will be good for us. This is a hard front to block. I mean, just the way these guys come off the football. It's a very sound defense as well. So it'll be a great test for us, in terms of just being able to capture some of these combinations that we're always trying to do in our zone scheme.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys.
There you go. That's Matt LaFleur taking some questions a little bit earlier today about his practice with the Jets, not wanting to give everything away, he said, which I found interesting. It's like, look, there's some things that this team does that we don't guard or do well. So to get early so we can work on our deficiencies. And I like that. It's looking at a team schematically that you just don't match up well with to get better. Because some will say, well, why are you having guys in camp? One, you like to have that guy across from you that really, he doesn't give a damn about your team. He just wants to make a name for himself. So first of all, that's good because it'll give you more of a semblance of live reps. But I like what he had to say. When it comes down to evaluating these guys, this is a team, the Jets, that do things schematically that we don't do very well, and we need to match up better. It bodes well. Some good stuff. So let's do this. We'll walk away. We'll come back. Got a lot more to get to. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Put it in the pocket. How we're looking. Bill Michaels Show. We're back. Is the pollen count high or something? I ran outside real quick. And I came back in. Oh, my God, my nose is running. My head's all crazy stuffy, and this is like within 30 seconds. Is it I mean, it's a little breezy outside, but is the pollen count high? Something I don't know about. And I'm not usually susceptible to like the allergy counts, but I just noticed, ran outside, I had to get a couple of things out of the RV. I got home last night, I guess about 11:30, after coming back from lacrosse, and just came right inside and went to bed, and then got up this morning and started doing some work and such. Hey, one thing that I wanted to mention, and I had brought this up in the beginning of the show. So yesterday when we were on the air was when they announced the Christmas Day games, the first, the 3 games, and that's all we had known. So we took a lot of heat last night. A bunch of people that are just haters that said, "I told you they were playing." Well, when we were on the air, Ben, when we were on the air, all we knew was the first 3 games, and we knew that the Bucks had not been chosen to play yet. Correct?
That was all that I saw. Yes,
that's all we saw. So it was like people came out of the woodwork to go, "Say you suck." Terrible reporting. It was like, no, this is all we had. This is all we had to go on. It wasn't like they said, "Okay, more to come," but that's all we had. So the Bucks, it did turn out that the Milwaukee Bucks are playing on Christmas Day, which is fantastic news. It's not like we were hoping that they wouldn't. It's just at the time, that's all we had. We didn't have any other information. It wasn't like we were trying to jump the gun, like they were leaking it out one game at a time. The story was on ESPN. I just said, "Oh, here we go." The whole story was written basically around LeBron James at the time. So anyway, we did want to make sure that we at least addressed that. It wasn't like we were trying to ignore it or act as if we were wrong. It's like at the time we were right. It's just, here you go. I don't know why there isn't any Bucks, but it is what it is. And then they announced that there's 2 more games, and sure enough, there's the Bucks. So good stuff for the Bucks to be on Christmas Day, and going to enjoy it, because you got Bucks 1:30 or something to that extent, and then you've got the Packers at 3:30 that afternoon. So you're gonna have a lot of local sports on Christmas Day. Kinger says, but the champs always play on Christmas Day. Well, when it was announced, Kinger, they weren't a part of the announcement. You can only go with what you have. That's what I'm saying, is that at the time they were not the 3 games that were listed. It wasn't like we were wrong. And at the time I thought, well, maybe the Bucks, being very, very smart when it comes to their scheduling, maybe they just decided, you know what, we don't want to go against the Packers, because that's a possibility too. But turns out they are playing on Christmas Day, so that's always good. Great stuff. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Jesse says the one thing about baseball that we are forgetting is the Little League World Series is right around the corner. I love the Little League World Series. I think it is a little bit, it's hard to say it's overdone, because I'm trying to go back to myself and my emotions as a kid. There would be nothing more that I would love to go back as a kid and play in the Little League World Series. I think it'd be cool as hell. I think it is youthful exuberance, very cool with the sportsmanship. I do think at times it can be kids becoming a little bit showy, which may not be in the best. And maybe it's the old school in me, but for the most part, I love the Little League World Series. Just love it.
My Little League was actually in it a couple years ago.
Really?
It was my brother's team, and he quit the team the season before they made it. Do you remember Monet Davis when she threw the no-hitter?
Yep.
That was my Little League team.
That had the no-hitter thrown against them?
No, Monet Davis. They're from
right.
They're from Philadelphia. That was my brother's travel team that he had just quit.
Okay, that's what I thought you were saying, but I wasn't 100% sure. Well, there you go. I never. Now let me ask you this. So was that a regional? Because the teams where I grew up in Cincinnati, you had the regional teams, the regional all-stars were chosen, and then those teams then went on to play in tournaments, which ultimately then got into the World Series. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't like it was, my grade school's team that got into the Little League World Series. It was a team of all-stars coming out of that region that got into the Little League World Series. Was that kind of team that your brother was on?
It kind of. It's not really regional because I lived in the city, so it was like an inner city Little League with all kids that played in the league, and then the best kids would play. So it's the same idea, but it's a much smaller area and a smaller group of people playing in the league.
Okay, that's what I was saying, because it's never a team. It's the best of the best from that area that then get together, form a team. It's kind of like an all-star team, and then they move on and go and play in regional tournaments and round robins and such, and then they continue to advance until you find yourself in the Little League World Series. So, because I got a question. This was from Ben, who says, "How are the Little League teams chosen?" That's how they're chosen, because you continue to play in regional tournaments until you then move on, and when you win another, I don't know how that. I don't know if it's a regional or if it's a local. You'll win the local tournaments to go to a regional tournament. The regional winner, I think, then goes to the Little League World Series. I think that's how it works. But I don't know. But it's great. It's great drama. It's great fun, and it's always good to see. I always enjoy that. Let's see here. Tom says, "Did you see the ambidextrous kid pitching from Hawaii? That was awesome." I did not. I know this is no excuse. I just started paying attention. I just did. We've been traveling so much and been so busy. I haven't. Between going to South Dakota, coming back for the Wisconsin State Fair, traveling to Eau Claire, back to the State Fair, here for one day, then out to La Crosse. And, I do not do, I will say this, safety first, but when it comes to driving the RV, I do not pick up my phone or look at anything. I just don't. So whatever hours I'm on the road, I am shut off. I'll take a phone call only for the fact that I have Bluetooth, but I shut off. And usually by the time I get done, I'm tired. Like last night I got home, never looked at my phone, went to bed. Woke up this morning and started dealing with the aftermath of yesterday. But I don't look at anything just because of safety. It's a very large vehicle. I don't want to have anything happen while I'm trying to check my phone. So anyway, but that's I have not checked it out, but I'm going to. I plan on sitting down and watching some of this. I was checking out some of the programming today. Derek says the Ohio Valley team playing is from right here in Eau Claire. I didn't know that. That's great. Well, if they're from Eau Claire, why are they? Because they're the Ohio Valley regional winners? Explain to me how a team from Eau Claire ends up as the Ohio Valley team. Because I legitimately, I haven't gotten into all the nuances of the Little League World Series. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, feel free. Yes, he says that's correct. Okay, so they are the regional winners. They are then the Ohio Valley regional winners. Okay, cool. I'm learning something new every day, and some days I just, I guess, educatedly, More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Thank you for calling Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. How may I help you?
Gina Della from Pella. You're answering the phones?
Absolutely. Now with the choice of 5 years, no interest, and 5 months, no first payment, or 10-year 2.99 APR financing, everyone on Team Pella Wisconsin is digging deep to make Wisconsin proud.
Bring home the gold, right?
Already have. According to a 2020 survey for leading national brands, Pella Windows are rated #1 for highest value, highest quality, and most preferred by Green Bay and Milwaukee homeowners.
Talk about being at the top of the podium, but what's a head coach like you doing on the field?
Hey, on my team, everybody's suiting up to make sure no one's left out in the cold.
Well, it is still summer,
And frosty fall air will be here before you know it. Set your free consultation today at PellaWI.com/radio or call 855-PELLA-WI.
Some restrictions apply. See show for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, a training camp update. In Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers and New York Jets joint practice sessions are underway. It's a family affair for Packers head coach Matt LaFleur. His younger brother Mike is the Jets' new offensive coordinator.
We got our whole families coming in town. So my parents, my sister-in-law and her kids, they'll all be staying at the house, and we'll get some opportunities to hang out in the evening. I think we're going to try to do something with the Jets staff one of the nights and just enjoy some good camaraderie.
Jets head coach Robert Saleh has been friends with Matt LaFleur for nearly 20 years. When both were graduate assistants at Central Michigan, LaFleur was the best man at Saleh's wedding. Now both are NFL head coaches.
I think it's cool. Obviously, Matt and the entire LaFleur family are very, very close. And when we're sitting there as GAs at Central Michigan, I don't think we ever thought that this would happen, but it's pretty cool that it did. So.
And the Packers made a trade sending former second-round pick Josh Jackson to the New York Giants in exchange for another defensive back, Isaac Yiadom. And the team reduced the roster to 85 by placing 2 players on IR, including wide receiver DeAndre Tompkins, who injured his shoulder against the Texans, and releasing 3 others. Packers GM Brian Gutekunst.
It's not just about finding the right 53 or 69 players or however you want to cut it up, but it's finding the right guys to make up the best team, not just the best players. So that's what we're after, and it's a challenge, but I do like the guys in that locker room right now that are competing for those spots.
That's Brian Gutekunst from the Packers training camp in Green Bay. I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back. Mike Clemens, you the man. Good stuff. Hey, coming up tomorrow, you know what tomorrow is? Tomorrow on the program is a day that we will enjoy our first deep dive into fantasy football. Paul Charchian is back with me again this year. And because of a company conflict over the last few years, Paul and I have not been together. Paul and I have remained great friends. And when this move that I made into this venture into my own company and the new company, which is Midwest Family Broadcasting, all came about, we looked at each other and went, holy crap, we can get back together again. And the band is back together again. So starting tomorrow, Paul Charchian will join us weekly to talk fantasy football. So I know a lot of people are getting ready for their fantasy drafts. We will get into that tomorrow. So start getting your fantasy football question thoughts together so we can take your calls and talk a lot about it, because I'm really looking forward to working with Paul again this year. Good stuff. This one is from Teresa, who says, I love the fact that we are talking Brewers baseball with Packers training camp going on. Usually it's Packers. Right now, there is some good baseball happening, and I am very much in favor of talking as much Brewers baseball as we possibly can. Which, you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Look, if it's relevant, absolutely. It's just that as training camp goes on, there's a couple of things to remember. One is, when it comes to the state of Wisconsin, let's be honest, the Packers reign supreme, no matter what. They just do. But Brewers baseball, when they're relevant, we try to talk about as much of it as we can. But on a daily basis, you can't get overwhelmingly excited about one game unless it's, say, they get a big win, a comeback win, or they blow a team out that is a team that's also vying for the top spot, or they get a win and they again extend their lead over the Central. I mean, there's things that can make it more relevant. But yeah, it's great to be talking Brewers baseball in any facet. I mean, at this time of year, normally you're just talking all Packers all the time, all Rodgers all the time. This year comes with a lot of controversy, and we're still talking Brewers baseball, whether it's good or bad regarding Christian Yelich. It's just the analytics of what it is. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Tom says, Bill, you have a chance to see the kid from Hawaii play at 1 o'clock Eastern time, noon Central, on August 19th. That's tomorrow, against Connecticut, as their team won the West Regional, and they're in the World Series tournament. Awesome. I'll have to turn it on. It'll be on during the latter portion of this program. Turn it on right here because I'm in studio. Yeah. So tonight, by the way, I had mentioned this before. There is a happy hour live stream coming up tonight. Going to be at a place called Rebellion Brewery, and that is in Cedarburg, Wisconsin. And up in Cedarburg, they have an event coming up called Country in the Berg. And this was, kind of a project that was thought of, and it's coming up next Friday and Saturday. But it was a project that was thought of by the founder, Alex, who is going to come on with us tonight. And we're going to talk with Peter, who is one of the founders of Rebellion Brewery. But Alex got together and thought it'd be cool to put on that little amphitheater that they have up there in Cedarburg, a terrific country show. And Kip Moore, a national act, Billy Currington, everybody knows Billy Currington when it comes to country music. They're coming this year. Kip Moore is on Friday the 27th. Currington is on Saturday the 28th. And so I just thought, you know what? We've done so many cool stories in the state of Wisconsin when it comes to the happy hour live stream. And they live forever over there on our Facebook page and over on the Yahoo page. Or not Yahoo, excuse me, the YouTube page. So I thought, it'd be really cool. So we're going to do that tonight. We're going to step out of the realm of sports, and we're going to talk some local brew pub, and we're going to talk country music and country in the Berg, and the national acts that are coming, and where some of the money goes. There's some charities involved. There's just a lot of good stuff community-wise that's happening, and sometimes it's not televised huge. It's televised very small, and it needs a voice and an audience. So we're going to do that tonight. So if you know somebody, or you yourself are a country music fan, and you want to hear more about this event, how to get tickets and such, that's all coming up tonight. Really looking forward to it. That's going to be at 5 o'clock sharp Central Time. And tonight we're going to talk Country in the Berg and Rebellion Brewery. So good stuff. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, feel free to go ahead and do so. This one's from Jack. Jack says, hey, anytime we talk Brewers baseball is a good thing as a longtime baseball fan. I cannot wait to see a World Series trophy hoisted in the city of Milwaukee. My father told me about the days that the Braves won, but I have yet to see one myself up close and personal. We are starved for Brewers and baseball success. You've had success, just haven't been able to hoist the trophy. So, agree. I mean, look. The Bucks winning a championship, some will say, well, the Bucks have won one. That's their second one. Yes, I get it. I understand that. But the Bucks had not won one since 1971. They hadn't been to the finals since 74. It's huge. It's huge news. The Brewers have been around since 1970 as the Brewers. So, you know, I mean, this if they win a World Series, I mean, baseball fans all over Brewers Nation, doesn't matter if you're in the state of Wisconsin or you're not, it's a big deal. And it deserves more coverage. Let's just hope it happens, right? We got another hour yet to go. I'm loving it. We're flying through today. Today's a great day. I'm not sitting outside in the sun, but still, today's a great day. Hang in there. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers have a season-high 8.5-game lead in the NL Central. That's after a 2-0 win last night over St. Louis. Corbin Burns went 6 innings, allowing just 2 hits and striking out 3 to get the win. Josh Hader picked up his 24th save of the season. Colton Wong and Omar Narvaez each had run-scoring doubles to account for the offense for Milwaukee. Wong, who played his entire career with the Cardinals before the season, says taking Game 1 of the series is significant.
Big time. I mean, obviously, we know how good they are. I mean, you know, it doesn't matter 10 games or what, you know, this team will fight back to the very end. So to come in here and get that first win is huge for us. You know, we're definitely excited about that. And, you know, any more wins that we can get on this next 2 games would be huge. You know, just continue to create separation and keep us out in front.
Milwaukee improved to 7-1 on their current road trip. Season best 26 games above 500. Lead the Reds by 8.5 games in the division. They will face the Cardinals again tonight in St. Louis. First pitch at 6:45. The Bucks going to raise their NBA championship banner to the rafters October 19th when they open the season against Brooklyn at Fiserv Forum. Also, that was announced yesterday. Milwaukee also going to host Boston on Christmas Day. Full schedule comes out Friday.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Packers were on the field with the Jets this morning for the first of 2 joint practices. The 2 teams also going to play Saturday afternoon. Yesterday, the team traded quarterback Josh Jackson to the Giants for cornerback Isaac Yiadom. And the Badgers practice this morning now sit just 17 days out from their opener against Penn State at Camp Randall. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Welcome back. Last hour of the Bill Michaels Show. No Mike Clemens today. Mike is busy. Mike's got stuff going on up there in Green Bay. But we will check back in with Mike at some point here throughout the remainder of the week, without a doubt. Good stuff from Mike as always. We are going to hear from Aaron Rodgers coming up here in just a bit. Aaron Rodgers went to the podium today. So we're going to hear from the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers coming up here in just a little while. I getting a lot of buzz over on Facebook. Thanks for those of you instant messaging me that are listening or paying attention. I don't know. Announcements have been made today, and apparently I knew they were coming, but I don't know if they're public. So I hate to do that to you, but people over on Facebook and such are starting to matriculate them. So I'll let that kind of speak for itself at this point, and then we'll make announcements later on. I don't know how else to do that because I'm getting a lot of people that are reaching out to me. And thank you so much for thank you so much for the joy. Put it that way. I appreciate it. I don't get many handwritten notes. Okay. Got one here. This was handed to me yesterday. Yesterday I was on the air and I got a FedEx package. And it was one of those things you put under your arm and you walk around with, and because you're not quite sure what it is. So you go through the rest of your day, and then I got home late last night. I got up this morning, I started reading it, and I wanted to do this. Greg, our buddy Greg, who listens to the program, better known as Sarge, said he's old school, which is the purpose for the letter. He says because he doesn't do Twitter and doesn't have the time to call in during the show, but he does listen. So he sent me a handwritten note via FedEx, and they dropped it off yesterday out at the golf course. It made its way to me. Glad to have us back in the air, that kind of stuff, which we completely appreciate. He says, looking back at Aaron Rodgers' first presser after coming to training camp, I think I have to take it all in that I haven't heard anyone talk about. I was surprised by what I thought was rare humility from him, but what I really got from him was that I think in a backdoor sort of way, he was giving the Packers front office a blueprint on how to be better dealing with player personnel issues. It is after said by both sides that the NFL is a business, or often said, I should say, often said. Well, that is the most certainly true. I think it is overlooked that it's a business that almost entirely is based upon people. The product is people. I think it's also overlooked that most of us and most of the players are not very sophisticated apart from their athletic ability. And then he talks about the ability to make money anywhere else, this kind of money anywhere else other than playing sports. Rodgers, I think, was trying to tell the truth about management, to get to know your players and people, not just players, and develop them as a building relationship and such. He goes on from there. He said, the other thing I wanted to share about athletes in general is from my old baseball coach. He often talked about the 3 H's a player needed to excel. Hands, athletic ability; head, game knowledge and coachability; heart, and that's passion and determination. He would say, give me the 3 H's and we can beat anybody. But I still have a winning team if my players excel in 2 of those 3 H's. Played for him for some years, on and on. So he goes on from there, but he says, thanks for letting me share. Keep up the good work, and hope to actually meet you someday. That's our buddy Greg Sarge. Just a fan, he says, not a stalker. Great stuff. I don't get a lot of handwritten notes, but thank you so much. That's means a lot, and I'm glad we got a chance to get it out there too. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Let's do this. Aaron Rodgers after practice at the podium. Here we go.
Zach, teach you that swag today.
Not much. Did you see what he was wearing out there? Zach's a good kid. It's fun to see him. I got to talk to him various times throughout the offseason. Good having these guys in. I've known Coach Sala for a while, played against him obviously a number of times. Him and Matt are close. The offense coordinator, I think, is close to Matt as well. So, yeah, it's fun having these guys in. You got to see Josh Johnson. Haven't seen Josh in a while. Greg Van Rotten. Got some good nicknames for him over the years. Got some good videos of him. Quite the dancer. But, yeah, it was a good day.
This is such a different tone than I just looked up our stories from a couple of years ago. I wouldn't mind if they didn't do it for another 14 years instead of the joint practices. Why are these better?
Tom just told me out here, he said, do not go scorched earth about joint practice, so I'm trying my best. Look, I've never been a huge fan of joint practice, but I think I've said as well, there is merit to certain aspects of it. It is nice having this defense, which has been going around the league now a little bit more in this week. It's also nice, the coaching connections, with Robert and Mike. And then so many of our coaches know other coaches on their staff. So that part's nice. They have good defense. One person who's inflicted a lot of concussions on our guys. So that's probably the only thing I was worried about. Mr. Davis has one of the hardest heads, I think, in the NFL history. But, we got some good work in today. I'm not sure what it was like down the other end, but our end seemed to be good tempo and it was physical. There's some conversations about some of the practice tempos, but I feel like overall no fights. Matt's pretty happy about that. I'm not sure what Robert's been telling us guys, but it looked like we're avoiding fights, which is good.
It seemed to be getting a little chippy. You mentioned Mr. Davis. Did you take any offense of anything that happened out there, or was it all fair game?
I've been working on myself, but he did not take offense about anything. So I try not to take any offense. What happens a lot of times is, there's conversations on the field, and somebody runs off the field, and the conversations continue, and guys kind of walk over in that direction. So a lot of times I like to put myself kind of between the two conversations as they start to escalate a little bit. Every now and then I get myself caught in conversation I don't want to be in because of that. So interesting dilemma there, but no, it wasn't heated at all, which is nice. They did a good job. They were really getting off the ball. Their D line, I think, is good. It's good for our young guys to feel that pressure and that get off from those guys. They got really good backers as well. They're young in the secondary, so it's good for them probably seeing a veteran quarterback and me trying to manipulate them with their eyes. So there is, regardless of what Tom said to me in the side room, there are a lot of things to be learned through this. It's just I always have the fear about guys getting hurt, compromised positions, and then unnecessary fighting. So we got through today, and hopefully we'll get through tomorrow.
Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, and I know you will, but I thought your other issue in 19 was John Pagano was on the Texan staff. You guys were playing the Bears to open with Chuck Pagano as their defensive coordinator, and you did a bunch of vanilla stuff in practice when you were learning a new offensive scheme. If that is an accurate depiction of one of your issues you had last time, is it different this time around with the belief that Saleh and Matt's own brother aren't going to be sharing information with upcoming opponents? Are you able to do more under these circumstances?
Yeah, I think my issues was more, we had a red zone period, and they dropped 8 a bunch of times in a row. And there's not a lot of work to be accomplished in that situation. If you look at my career in the red zone, dropping 8 has not been something that's worked out very well for the defense. So I don't think that'd be in the plan for them. And then it was clouding everything up, and I just thought it was just a total waste of a period. The good thing is when you have Robert and Matt, who are best friends, and Matt's brother Mike, there's some cross script conversation. So if we need a certain look, or we'd like to see a certain look in a certain play, we can get it. Also, it was anything but vanilla today. They ran a bunch of different fronts. They ran pressures, safety pressures, backer pressures. They had some great checks. It's a different feel. When Robert got the job, I actually was FaceTiming with Matt and got to congratulate him. So there's a different type of respect based on knowing each other, I think, with this group that's in town. We just I don't think knew a lot of people in the Houston staff, and it's just a different way of approaching the practices.
This has been one of the faster starts in training camp for you personally that you can recall, and without playing any preseason games, how do you make that judgment? I know preseason isn't great for strategy, but I think you get to play a little bit more.
Yeah, I was going back, and I think the last time I played was in 2018. Tom, is that right? Thank you, Tom. I hit my quota there. But the preseason has really been about the practices for me for a number of years. And this year, I've been pretty efficient in camp. It helps. I think the thing you got to look at is the third year in the system. Last year, there were so many different changes from years 1 to year 2. It really took kind of one play or one practice kind of mid-camp at Lambeau to where I kind of hit my stride personally. This camp, I've been feeling really good from the start. The off-season work and the rest, both mentally and physically, I think allowed me to come in a really good mindset. But I'd also been throwing a decent amount, not always to football receivers, but my guys in the, Al Harrington, those guys, catching passes for him. I felt really good coming in where my arm was at. And, we've been pretty efficient in practice. against a new scheme. So I'm happy where we're at on the perimeter up front. We have some things we got to clean up though for sure, and there's definitely jobs to be won.
I saw you chatting with all the Jets quarterbacks, including Ashwell, James Morgan. Did you get a chance to say much to him? Is that the first time you met him? And
He went to Ashwaubenon? Yeah. I didn't even know that. I really didn't. Because of the similarities in offenses, I wanted to hear kind of the play calls just to see what kind of carryover there was. And also I wanted to talk to Mike and Zach kind of about the operation a little bit. Obviously, I've been around a long time and called my own 2-minute for a number of years, well over a decade. So I wanted to give them a couple things to maybe think about in their own. He's a first-time coordinator. He's a first-time starter. There's just some things in the operation that I felt like I could help with, and that's, I hope Getsy's not upset with me. Both times in the special teams periods, I went over and talked to the quarterbacks. I just wanted to, talk with Zach and James and Mike and Josh, just because that's the best part about this is just getting to see other guys you know about or get to meet and talk ball with during that time is fun.
Hey Aaron, between year 1 and year 2 in this offense, there was a lot of, all right, here's what I like, here's what we do more like, here's what Matt likes. Now that we're 2 and 3, can you kind of characterize the expansion or anything else with what you guys are doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just more of whittling down. The scheme came in like this, and we tried to do as much as possible. I tried to add in some of my stuff over the years, and in the off season that first year, we just kind of threw it all up on the wall and said what worked and what didn't work, what fits the scheme and what doesn't fit the scheme. Do we have the players to run these certain routes? If not, let's get it out. And year 2, you saw a real good focus on exactly what we have the personnel to what plays we can run with those guys. And this year, just an even greater focus of that. An expansion in certain concepts where there's latitude to adjust routes or concepts. And then obviously we always make room for creativity, whether it's myself or Hackett or Matt, or sometimes the beauty in preseason is you're watching the 2s or 3s go and somebody's has the wrong split or the wrong route and it turns into a new play. We've had a number of those over the years where a guy runs the wrong route and shoot, a couple weeks later, that's the new play. We had a receiver here that retired, number 80, and he ran a route from the wrong split. Shoot, it's now in the offense. It was Jermichael in 2011 or 12. I think it was 11. We were playing the Giants, and we had a run where he was supposed to cut off the backside end, and instead he inserted in the B gap. It was just it looked like a lead draw type of play. And that became our go-to short yardage play for years. And that expanded that package. We went to being able to do 5 different things off of that just because J-Mike, instead of blocking the end, went through the B gap and it looked like a great play, So that's kind of the beauty in training camp sometimes.
There you go, Aaron Rodgers. Listen to this. He is still at the podium speaking. We're going to take a quick break because we have to. We're running up against the clock. But we'll come back. We'll pick up where we left off. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Glad to have you back. Hey, don't forget our good friends over there at Pine Mountain Resort. They not only have a terrific golf course and Timberstone Championship Golf Course, but they have got a huge indoor pool. They've got a great sports bar, the UP Hall of Fame. They have got, come wintertime, they have got skiing, sledding, tubing, and a huge ski jump. They're going to have some competition there this year. Their fall color tour is spectacular. There's so many reasons to head up to the UP in a one-tank trip to go up and just enjoy everything that the UP has to offer. Our friends at Pine Mountain Resort. Go to pinemountainresort.com. That is pinemountainresort.com and see everything that they have to offer. And in addition to that, you can call Barb and get our deal. Get our deal. It can be anything. It can be a free bottle of wine, a round of golf, whatever it happens to be. But call Barb at 906-774-2747, 906-774-2747. Again, 906-774-2747. And see everything that they have to offer. There's a lot of great stuff going on right now at Pine Mountain Resort. So go to pinemountainresort.com, but call our girl Barb, 906-774-2747, 906-774-2747. Let's get back to it. Aaron Rodgers at the podium talking to the media.
Press conference in camp. When you talk about wanting involvement with matters related to your job, is it enough for you just to have a conversation, have your voice heard, or do you expect to have those conversations turn into action? And along those lines, would you like to see Clay come back as a Packer?
Should have just asked that part. Yeah, Ryan, I think the conversation is the most important thing. I'm always pride myself on being reasonable and rational. Sometimes what I think is best might not be best based on gathering all the evidence and all the opinions and hearing thoughts from different people. Just to be in the conversation will be a great start. And that's kind of what I've expressed since February. There's a lot of conversations about football stuff and what might not seem like football stuff that does affect my job. And I enjoy just at least being aware of the conversations. In the conversations is an even better position to be. And then actually having an opportunity to maybe impact the decision is great. Friday night, I was with Dave and his lovely fiance, Frankie, and the Cobbs. And we had a question about Clay that came up because Clay just moved from California. And so we got Clay on the FaceTime. Those conversations turned into a social media post. There hasn't been, I don't think, a big push from any of us to sign him. We didn't even talk ball. We were just kind of BSing with him, having a good conversation. But he's a big farmer now. I'm not sure. He's kind of like Jordy. I don't know. He probably got that strength to be able to play, but I don't think I've thought about football in a while.
Aaron, can I ask you, every time your name comes up on some show, it's Aaron Rodgers. You don't want to cross that guy. He holds a grudge. He uses it for motivation. That's the chip on his shoulder. Where did that come from? Does that come from that 60 Minutes?
Spoon, yeah.
Does it come from that 60 Minutes story? And is it true? Do you use revenge for motivation?
It's never been about revenge. It's about a reckoning.
Got teed up pretty well.
Thank you.
What's the difference?
Ask my man, Doc Holliday.
The Revenant.
The Revenant? I'm talking about Tombstone.
Going back to Ryan's reference there for a second, we went down that list of guys, that first press conference.
I left out a couple too. I feel bad.
But you mentioned 3 wide receivers, right? Jordy, James, Copy, and back. I'm wondering, in your mind, and you didn't even mention Jake, but do you believe that there's a significant difference in a wide receiver when he's playing with you versus when he's not? And if so, in what ways do you think there is that difference?
Well, it depends on where they go afterwards. I think my resume speaks for itself, but also the way that we train receivers in the conversations, we're having high-level QB receiver conversations. A lot of offenses don't have the space for that. You talk to guys who go other places who have questions about things within the offense, oftentimes get shot down by an offense coordinator with an ego that doesn't want to hear that anything about their system has flaws or holes that maybe were fixed in our system. Now, we had the good fortune with Mike of being in the same system for 13 years. So we revolutionized things over and over. And, we're at the front of the curve, and then people caught up and then readjusted what we were doing. And we had years and years to work similar concepts to master them and to add to them and to figure out the intricacies and the details in them. I don't think that goes on. I know that doesn't go on in every other offense. You talk to guys who've been other places, there's not the same type of detail or understanding of concept that we've had over the years. It's been passed down in the West Coast system for a number of years, always about the efficiency of the play and the intricacies of said play. Which is why some of the greatest plays in West Coast offense history have been sometimes not even the primary receiver, but just understanding of that concept and how to get the most out of it depending on the look. And I don't think offenses really train that way. You've seen across the league there's less and less onus on quarterbacks for protection, for adjustments, for audibles. A lot of these schemes are fit in play. There's less and less guys who do stuff at the line of scrimmage, who do any type of protection adjustment, who even read a front or tie a front to a backer limit, to a safety limit, understanding pressures that could possibly come from that, coverages associated with that type of front. It's just kind of unheard of. It's a lot of schematic stuff and plugging guys in. That's just not the way I was trained. Thankfully, Matt's been, very pliable on a lot of those things where I can insert some of my knowledge of protection schemes that Tom Clements and I trained for hours and hours starting in 2006. But I think that's part of the difference in playing here and playing with me and playing other places.
Aaron, we asked you about your wide receivers last time we talked to you. What do you think you have in terms of weapons at tight end and running back this year?
Well, I think that there's, even at receiver, there's a lot of things to be figured out. Obviously getting Big Dog back is great when you have that on-the-ball wide tight end who can dominate in the run game. Robert Tonyan had a great season last year. And then there's a lot of guys with opportunities behind those guys. DeGuara coming back from a knee injury, and Jace, another year in the system. I thought Nada was doing some nice things before he got banged up. Big fan of Kafusi. He's obviously made a change from defense to offense, and he's got a ways to go, but there's some opportunity there for those guys behind because, and Daphne as well coming back from his injury and playing a little bit last year. Matt would love, I'm sure, to keep 4 or 5 of those guys, for teams and for the 12 personnel stuff we like to do. At running back, it's the same type of thing. You have Patrick Taylor coming back from an injury and Dex another year in the system and drafted Hill. Obviously, Aaron and AJ are going to be on the roster and going to play big minutes for us. But we need, those guys behind us to step up and show on special teams and, kind of see what they can do. That's the beauty in days like today, and you watch the film back and see what guys popped. But it's the same in receiver. There's, as you guys probably have documented, there's 5 guys who probably have a spot sewed up, and not sure if we're going to keep 6, keep 7. Do we keep 2 quarterbacks or 3 quarterbacks? It allows for extra spots at some of those places. If it is 6, there's a lot of guys in the mix. Obviously Funch had a big night the other night. Malik was on the active roster last year. EQ was on the active roster last year. Reggie did a nice job on the P squad most of the year and has come back and been a better player. Jawan Winfrey has had one of the better off seasons, one of the most improved guys. So there's a lot of opportunity for those spots. That's the exciting thing. Every year there's anywhere from 35 to 40 kind of spots that seem to be pretty locked up, but it leaves for some that 13 to 18 range of players that can make a roster spot.
So there you go. Aaron Rodgers wrapping things up with the media up at Lambeau Field. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break, come back. Got a couple of things to kind of discuss as we get ready to get out of here for this Wednesday. Back at it again tomorrow. But we got a lot more to go. You know what? Let's do this. We can listen to the end of Aaron Rodgers when we come back. We'll do that just for the fact that we'll get it all taken care of today and then kind of move on tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes a full day with fantasy football and such as well. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michael Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michael Show, the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show. We continue this portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. They're the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Great to have them on board again this year. The Bill Michaels Huddle is back. We'll start announcing the bar locations as they become available as well. Everything's just falling back into place. I love it. It's like an old shoe. It just fits great. It's perfect. It feels good. The difference is the shoestrings are nowhere near as tight. Just fits perfect. Loving it. Aaron Rodgers still talking. Let's take a listen.
Two more in person, guys. I can't wait to see what Kafusi does in Buffalo this year. But anyway, if you didn't know Morgan was from Schwab, did you know Cole Van Lannen's from Bayport?
I did, yes. Go Pirates, yes.
How much of the comfort level?
Thank you.
How much of a comfort level have you been able to establish with Josh, and just how these 2 days, how can they help in that regard, since he wasn't taking sense from the game?
Yeah, I'm not going to say any more things nice about Josh. I don't want him to go to his head. And Corey again is telling me I'm being way too soft on him, but he had a rough day today. He did. This is good learning experience for him. A new defense, not guys in similar spots, different numbers of IDs to make. But every one of these opportunities is definitely a good thing to lock away in the memory banks. And today, mentally, I don't think he was as sharp as he's been in the past, and expect him to bounce back tomorrow. But overall he's done a really nice job. I mean, he really has. He's comfortable in that position, but we need to see the consistency when I'm in there because things move a little bit quicker. It's a quicker tempo just against our defense compared to bringing a team in for some practice like this, which is probably as fast as a preseason game, but the regular season gets picked up even more. We gotta get him thinking as fast as I can think.
Are we counting Rob's joke as a question?
Last one first.
Okay. So last year it was pretty clear that you and Tim and all the guys were having a really good time. And then we asked you a few times during the course of the season via Zoom whether you were savoring the year more, and maybe things you would have taken for granted previously you weren't, and that was very evident watching you. I saw what you said to Peter. Can you do that again? Is that a template for how you can approach this season? Because that is how you looked to those of us that were around you a lot last year. And in what ways can that help you get through this?
Well, I mean, there's a lot in there to talk about. I don't look at it as getting through the season, though. I think that's the most important thing. I'm going to enjoy it like I enjoyed last year. The reason I said that and the reason I approached it like that was I just knew when the pick was made that the clock had started for sure. And I thought, unless there was something in the season that really made me feel like I'm going to be here past 2021, that maybe this would be my last year, because I didn't want to be going into a year with some sort of, as a lame duck, like I said. I just didn't think that was fair to what I've accomplished and what I mean to this team. And nothing really changed in that regard. So I went in the offseason thinking, man, that could have been it. I'm glad that I enjoyed every moment. I'm glad I led exactly the way I wanted to lead and looked for those conversations with certain guys that needed to pick me up at different times, and took the headphones off and enjoyed, the surroundings and the road trips and the time with the guys. So yeah, it's a good template for sure. I don't want a farewell tour. I don't know what's going to happen after the season, but I'm going to enjoy it with the right perspective for sure, and not look at it as I'm getting through this. I'm just going to enjoy the hell out of, all of it. That's why I think I have a slightly different perspective about these, practices with other teams. I had tongue in cheek with Tom. That's 4 Tom now, 5 actually, about going scorched earth. There is a lot of stuff to be gained from these type of practices. And I think it, for me personally, the perspective through some of the work I've done in the off season and just trying to just be more joyful and happier is going to allow this season to be really special and memorable, I think.
Sarah, we got 2 on Zoom. 2 on Zoom.
Zoom.
Sorry, Aaron Migler first.
Aaron, you said on a couple of occasions in the past that you consider yourself a bit of a throwback player. With that perspective, what do you feel, or how do you feel about the league cracking down on taunting? You've had a number of players do the belt at you in past years, and you've clearly gone back and made them pay for it. Do you think that the league is kind of overstepping here?
I think, there was a lot of conversations about the no fun league for a while with some of the crackdowns on end zone celebrations. I don't know. I mean, it's such a subjective call. It's not every situation is not objective. Oh, that's taunting. I don't know. I think some of the call the other night was very soft to me and unnecessary. Hopefully they're getting out of their system in the preseason. I think the jawing and the trash talk has been a part of the league. I think when it crosses the line, everybody kind of knows what that looks like and expects a flag, but to be any type of demonstration, that seems a little bit much to me.
And last one, Bill Huber.
Hey, Aaron, sorry to keep you. This might be a small thing. You had a 2-minute touchdown today. I'm not sure that you've had one this camp. Bob said you had, but either way, is it a big deal to get one? Is it a big deal to get one today, or is it just, this is training camp 16, you'll figure it out? minutes? I guess what's your view on situational stuff like that?
2 minutes is always really interesting because it's such a pressure-packed situation. It's hard to replicate that in practice based on, especially for us, not having any officials out there, which is advantage defense, not being able to be tackled, which changes rush lanes and rush dynamics for a quarterback. And a lot of times in those situations, I'm working on certain concepts I want to see in those situations. Today, I kind of focused on let's get in the end zone. So maybe less stuff that I'm trying to work on or see, and more, how I would want to call it in the game. So I was happy we got in the end zone. It's always nice to score, but if we hadn't done it, it wouldn't have been a total loss at all. It is practice. It's important reps for sure, but the execution is the most important thing, and regardless of what period it is.
There you go. Aaron Rodgers talking to the media. A couple of things that I thought came out of that were very interesting. He and a buddy of mine texted me at the same time I'm thinking this. He had talked about 5 wide receivers having positions locked up. So you start to think, okay, Adams and Cobb, yeah. MVS, yes. Amari Rodgers, yes. So there's 4 of your 5 for sure. Lazard is his guy, so you would assume Lazard's locked up. And then he went on to talk about how Funchess and the big night he had on Saturday and how he's looked really good. And so that would be 6. So does, you try to figure this out, who they have locked up. So that leaves Equinemius St. Brown on the outside looking in. Malik Taylor, Reggie Begelton, Juwan Winfrey, Chris Blair, all these guys, So, like I said, Devontae Adams, MVS, Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, Amari Rodgers. They're all there. That's 5. 6 would be Funchess. 7 would be Equinemius St. Brown. That's if they keep 7. Interesting. Let's do this. We'll step away, take a quick break, come back. Last segment of the program. Stay tuned. More right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michael will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, a training camp update. In Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers made a trade sending defensive back Josh Jackson to the New York Giants in exchange for another DB, Isaac Yiadom. Now, Jackson started in 10 games his rookie year, but by the end of last season, he was on the inactive list for the postseason, even though he was healthy. At the time, Matt LaFleur said,
Yeah, I think Jacko's done some nice things. He competes on a daily basis to the best of his ability. And, just we need him to step up and be a player for us.
The Packers joint practice sessions are underway with the New York Jets. In 2019, Packers Jay Sternberger and Trevor Davis both suffered head injuries after cheap shots taken by the Houston Texans. LaFleur hopes that can be avoided this time.
It's just always great when you can incorporate more of a game type pressure in practice, but not putting your players more at risk, because there's nobody going to be going to the ground and tackling. So I think it's just going to be a really good evaluation tool for us.
The Jets' new head coach, Robert Saleh, is one of Matt LaFleur's best friends. Does that help with the planning?
I think it helps. We've had a lot of discussion to make sure that we're both getting the work that we need. I value these things greatly just because of if you go in there with the right intent to compete and not look at it like it's a free-for-all where you're trying to do extra, there's not as much guard up with regards to communication and protecting, if you will, but just a good collaboration to make sure that we're both getting the work in that we need to get the most out of this practice.
Packers defensive lineman Kingsley Keke on facing another team in practice.
It just brings a lot more juice, having another team come in, just competing, bringing that competitive edge. Just going out there showing what I can do, showing what we can do, and it just brings excitement, especially this week against the Jets.
That's the Packers' Kingsley Keke from training camp in Green Bay. I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Final segment of the Bill Michaels Show. I am Namesake, so glad to have you on board today. Hey, coming up tonight, we are going to be just a few hours from now, as a matter of fact, going to be in Cedarburg, Wisconsin. If you are in the area of Rebellion Brewery, we're going to be there today doing the happy hour live stream starting at 5 o'clock sharp over on many of these same stations on the social media side of things, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. So look for that coming up. We're going to talk some country music tonight. We've got a really neat event coming up called Country in the Bird, and we're going to talk more about that this evening. And in addition to that, tomorrow we've got fantasy football coming back. Paul Charchian is rejoining, and the band is back together. So we're looking forward to talking to the Charch. One other thing I want to remind you is that we are continuing to add to the prize package that can be won for those of you that are doing the pre-registration for the motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, September 5th. We have now 5 restaurants that have $100 alone per restaurant in downtown Milwaukee and the surrounding areas that are participating. We have tickets to Admirals games, tickets to any race at Road America next year. We have, I believe, some Badger tickets coming our direction. We have, what else? We have a $100 gift card from Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. We have a stay at Pine Mountain Resort And you can use that this year or next year, whatever. They're throwing a pretty cool New Year's Eve party too. But a lot of different stuff that is in one person will win it only if you pre-register for the motorcycle ride. The motorcycle ride is, again, coming up Sunday, September 5th. We ride for Fisher House, Wisconsin. For those that are in the military, those veterans, their families, we are now on the list. We are going to build another house that is needed to house veterans' families during these veterans and military members during their time of need in the hospitals. So we're going to build one in Madison, and we have to start fundraising again. And the community was so great in stepping up for the first one. We raised more than half. I shouldn't say we, because I didn't do anything. I happen to be a part of the board that does such incredible work. But the community raised over half of the funding before the house had even broke ground. And this current house is going to be between $6 and $8 million. So we've got a little bit of work to do, but I have a lot of faith. And I know we're getting a late start on this, but if you are a motorcycle rider or know someone who is, can you please come out and join us Sunday, September 5th? All the details are on the Facebook page. That is just simply the Big Units Motorcycle Poker Run benefiting Fisher House, Wisconsin, or just go to Fisher House, Wisconsin, or FisherHouseWI.org and go to the events page, and you can find the link there too. FisherHouseWI.org. We start at Milwaukee Brewing, downtown Milwaukee, and then get a police escort out of town. We head off on a terrific ride, and we have 4 stops. And then afterwards, we have a great party out at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. Bands, music, food, everything. And then we award all the winners of the poker run. And it's a great day of camaraderie, and it's a great day of fun. It's a great day for a very worthy cause. So if you can please help us out, that would be fantastic. So again, go to FisherHouseWI.org and go to the events section. FisherHouseWI.org and go to the events section, and you can help us out. So that's actually going to pretty much do it. The one thing that I did notice about Aaron Rodgers' presser, he got very detailed into what he's looking for and made a mention not only of almost sounding as if he was some kind of a head coaching prodigy, but he made a note to say guys that are practicing now, and it almost like he kind of gave you a wink and a nod saying, yeah, these guys are good now, but when they're on the same page with me, that's when we'll know they're good. He did everything but just say, hey, look, I know it. These guys don't. I'm so much faster. I'm so much better. I'm so much smarter. I mean, I don't know if you caught that, but when he said, yeah, these guys need to get on the same page with me, because things happen faster, recognitions are quicker, and went through that whole diatribe. I know he's not sitting up there just knocking Jordan Love. That's not what he's doing. But what he is saying is, hey, you can practice with that cat all you want. I'm a whole nother level. You got to get to my level before there's a level of confidence. So I just thought that was fantastic. I really did. I thought that was fantastic. Oh, one more thing. Hey, by the way, the Cubs are kicking the crap out of the Cincinnati Reds. Cubs are up 6-1. 6 runs, 11 hits, no errors. The Reds, 1 run, 5 hits, 1 error. If the Reds falter yet again, it is a golden opportunity to gain yet another game and go up 9.5 games on the closest team in the division. That would be the Cincinnati Reds in the National League Central. The Brewers 73-47, pitching fastball Freddie tonight, who has a repertoire now. Freddie Peralta on the hill against Flaherty, the righty, who is throwing a solid season for the Cardinals, by the way. 9-1 with a 2.65 ERA. 9-1. So a good pitchers matchup tonight in St. Louis yet again, as the Brewers try to continue to win on the road. It's been a spectacular road trip. But, man, go Brewers. Go Brewers. And you wake up and you go to the ballpark and you see the Cubs beating the Reds, and you just know to yourself, we're not losing any ground today. So let's go get them, but you can gain ground. You can put a little pressure on yourself and say, we got to win if we want to continue to extend this lead. So good stuff today. Then tomorrow you have got the Brewers and the Cardinals. That is also a 6:45 start time tomorrow. Brandon Woodruff on the hill against Leicester. So it's not a day game. It's not a day getaway game tomorrow. Got an evening game. That'll do it. I'm going to see you out at Rebellion Brewery at 5 o'clock in Cedarburg for the Happy Hour live stream tonight, talking country in the Burg. And then we're back at it again tomorrow here in studio. So until you and I talk again,